Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you guys are having a lovely Sunday day. It's quite miserable where I am, not going to lie. It's pretty not nice outside. It's quite miserable. It's quite cold. It's quite dark. It's a bit ugh at the moment. But you know what? All the better because I'm here and we're here to talk about Chelsea and Man United. So if you are sitting at home, you are watching me on your TV, your laptop, your phone, whatever it is that you're doing, please make sure that you're doing one big thing for us right now, which is smashing them likes. Let's get these likes up as quickly as possible. Please share on your socials as well. Let's let people know that we are currently live both on GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. Today's show is to obviously talk about yesterday's game, which I did go to, and we'll talk a bit more about in regards to Chelsea versus Manchester United. 1-1 on the night. So close to getting the 3 points. So close to getting the 3 points. But at the end, Casemiro header ends up catching us out. And it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. But we are going to talk more into that. More on Chalobah today. We're going to talk about Grandpa. We've got a couple of things to go through before we talk about the game as well. And then we're going to open up the lines and let you guys come in and have your say as well, guys. But like I said, please make sure we're smashing the likes as always. And let's get into this. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you guys are having a lovely Sunday. Like we said, we're here to talk about the Chelsea vs Man United game. 1-1 on the night. Again, a miserable, boring 1-1 draw. Another draw added to the list of draws that we've had with Manchester United, and one boring hell of a game as well, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on that. And at the same time, like I said, we are going to be opening up the lines later in the show to get you guys in. But let's say hello to the chat quickly while we're letting people slowly come through, because I can see that YouTube still haven't promoted that we're alive at the moment, but we move. See, if it was Mendy in goal, we wouldn't have conceded that, is what Kibenka says on that. Steve says Potter should own up to his mistakes. Second best at everything yesterday. His reaction's too slow in every department of his game. I'll probably have to say that I agree with what he's saying there to the degree, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. Obviously, Chelsea OG big ups uses after sleep or hurts less. After sleep or hurts less. But damn, I was pissed off yesterday. So was I. And if you watched my fan cam, you would have seen my reaction to the result. You know, it was a little bit frustrating. Orient, it's nice to see you. You see, we have no players and now no elite manager. We downgraded is how he feels. Sean saying, when Mason Mount plays, we are playing with 10 men. He always ghosting. I think that's just a bit. Again, this is where I crossed the line with it. Yeah, he didn't have a good game yesterday, but say every time he plays, we play with 10 men is a little bit of a over-exaggeration. Sorry, Sean. Just from my perspective. They're out to my boy Pete in the house. Met him yesterday. Went down, had some Nando's. And then obviously went to the game as well. He was there with me. He says, people forgetting we are a transitional period between a new manager and we need a lot of new players. And he's right. And what he's saying there is bang on. And I can't stress this. I really can't stress this as much as I have done in regards to where we are at the moment, and us as fans understanding where the squad is at the moment, and even where the managers are at the moment in terms of actually trying to find solutions and try and get the best out of these teams. And we're going to talk about that in a bit as well. Deals, man, nice to see you, bro. He says yesterday was the same old story in the middle. Soon as Kovacic come on again, it looked controlled. I don't know why Potter never started Kovacic from the start. Well, apparently Kovacic is carrying a knee injury. Supposedly, apparently he's playing with an injury is what we've read. What I read on Twitter. Big up to Claudio as well. Big up to Stream Elements as well. Nice to see you. It's Michael says Potter masterclass. If you ask me, what do you mean by that, my man? Tell me. Steph as well. Big up to Casemiro and your hope of winning. Yeah. Big up to Bex in the house. Says man like Jem. Nice to see her in the house as well. Who else have we got here? Steve. Nice to see you, bro. Hope you're well. Hope you're well, Steve. Avira up says, why was it frustrating Chelsea didn't play well? Well, that's the whole point. Like, people get frustrated when their teams don't play well over up. I don't get that's the point. Big up to Joey in the house. How you doing, bro? Says welcome everybody and good afternoon. Please like and comment and send super chats to the prioritised when sending messages. Right there, you can send super chats, guys. There's over 50 of you guys here already. Big up to every single one of you. 5 minutes in. But like I said, the most important thing is just smashing the likes. The more that we smash the likes, the more that YouTube promote it. And the more people get to see this and subscribe to both channels as well. So please do that if we can. I've seen your interview on Chelsea Fan TV after the game. Not a good game. Fortunate to take. Despite losing late goal, Man U had a chance. It's still hard to take because we were was that Koos, as in like probably saying that we were close. Sorry, we were close. Yeah, I agree. Big up, bro. Big up to you. Potter started bad, but fixed things right away. He did. He made the right decision in terms of the formation switch, to be honest. And obviously bringing Kovacic and adding another midfielder kind of balanced us. And what I would say is we had more control of the game. And we're going to get into all that. But obviously, before we get into that, I just wanted to quickly talk about something on the side note quickly. Obviously, I saw this comment from Fabrizio Romano talking about Graham Potter's words in regards to when he was asked from Todd Boehly in regards to Cristiano Ronaldo. So he says, Graham Potter, when asked if Todd Boehly presented him with the chance to sign Cristiano Ronaldo, he goes and says, I never speak about players that aren't Chelsea players. I mean, it's probably the most safest comment that anyone could come out with, if you're my honest opinion. Like, I think most managers do the same thing if you in that instance. But, you know, I'll cut it short and I'll just be honest with you guys. We don't need a Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, have you already seen his antics off the pitch at Man United? Have we not seen enough of that at Chelsea with some of the big name players that have come across and, you know, caused problems at this club? I don't think a player like Ronaldo would suit Chelsea right now, and I don't even think it would change much, personally. I don't think he fits the system. Yeah, he might score a couple of goals here and there, a bit like what Aubameyang does, but is he going to work hard off the ball? Along with if he doesn't play, you're going to get what Ten Hag's getting at the moment with him. I just don't feel comfortable with the whole Ronaldo to Chelsea thing, and I hope we do not go down that route. I really, really do. I hope we do not do that. Nah, I'm still not on it. I'm still not on it. I'm telling you now. Yeah, hopefully we can beat Brighton, John. We have to see what happens there. You want to win group? Yeah, true as well. That is true. If Ronaldo comes, Potter's being a yes man is what Dills is saying. That's probably true as well, man. That is probably true. I agree with that. But for me, it just doesn't work in any way. Like, it just does not work. Even if he wants to leave, let him leave and go somewhere else. Let him go and be the player, wherever it's going to be, you know, but not at Chelsea, not for me. So thought I'd just share that with you guys quickly. And I want to talk about closest to home. And I want to talk about, obviously, Graham Potter to start with before we go into the game as well. Obviously, we've got this comment here that from Graham Potter after the game saying that Graham Potter said he will use the players that didn't play much today on Tuesday in the Champions League. Likely starts for Pulisic, Gallagher, Ziyech, Brewer and Havertz. So basically, he's going to look to switch it around in what is a big game. What is a big game for Chelsea when you think about it? Obviously, we're sitting top of the Champions League table, but we still need to have a solid team. And we saw what happened when we made too many changes against Brentford. You know, there's no real flow, no real balance, a lack of game time for certain players that had started, just didn't work. I think he has got a hard job. I think the job is hard as it is because I feel that he has to kind of balance what we have. So in terms of our starting 11, who would usually start, plus mixing it up by adding players that maybe don't have the minutes. Do you know what I mean? But that's the whole hard bit of it all for me. So, you know, out of the players that we've listed there, I think Pulisic should, 100% should start. I mean, my argument with the whole Raheem Sterling thing, we're going to talk about Sterling later on. I don't know if you saw me on the fan cam, but I was a little bit sceptical of the way Sterling's been playing recently. But is that, you know, Pulisic's not really had many minutes. And obviously we saw a little bit against Brentford and he looked quite sharp. And I don't get why we should not allow him the opportunity to come in and play in Sterling's position. Because at the moment, Raheem Sterling, doesn't matter how much we're paying him or the profile of player is, he's just not up to it. Gallagher, if he's fit, maybe you could rotate with Mason Mount. I always feel that Gallagher can bring us something, you know, bring us something completely different to what Mount offers, and just rest Mount sometimes. Mount doesn't have to play every single game. You know, he's gonna need to have a break in between this as well. And then you go on to Ziyech. Now Ziyech's just, for me, Ziyech's done at Chelsea. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to cut corners or anything. This is the truth. Ziyech is done at Chelsea. He shouldn't be here. We don't utilise him. He doesn't really want to be here. He plays once in a blue moon and then he holds bench. Potter doesn't play him because he probably knows that he doesn't want to be here. I don't want players in the first 11 that are just half-heartedly playing, if that makes sense, in the team. It's not worked with Ziyech at Chelsea. It never will. Just let the guy go. Cut him. Someone that I do want to see more minutes for is a Broa. We saw it against Brentford and he came on against Man United. He got the penalty against them as well with McTominay bringing him down. Play him. Play him. If he can start, play him. However, I don't think he will start him. I think he'll bring him on again later in the game. But again, I want to talk about that. And we're going to get into that next when we talk about Graham Potter. And then we've got Kai Havertz, who everyone was very sceptical of last week and moaned about. And granted, he deserves it. Wasn't great. Didn't play this week. Still have the same crap that we have with the forwards. And I said this to people. I said this last week. I said, 1 week it'll be Havertz. The next week it will be Sterling. It'll be Mount. It'll be whatever. When are we going to start looking away from, even though we should be looking at the players' performances because they haven't been good enough, when are we going to start looking at the whole system and the other players that are playing within the system and the consistency of their performances and what they actually offer to the system that we play? When are we going to have this conversation? When are we going to sit and have this conversation? Yeah, he's going to have to rotate. He's going to have to keep rotating because, game after game, it's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot to go on to it as well. And before we obviously go on to the players and the games itself, it's over 75, nearly 80 of you guys here, 11 minutes in. Big up to every single one of you guys that are here. We are going to open up the lines for you today. Today is going to be allowing you guys to come in, have your say. But I need you to smash the likes, guys. I have to get this up to at least over 50 likes per show. And then usually we get up to about 100 likes, usually. So let's try and do that. Now, let's have a little chat about Graham Potter, shall we? Because it is still very early doors. We all know this. We all know it's early doors. 1 second. It's not on. There we go. I don't know why that's not charging. Oh, I think my battery ain't charging. I don't know why, guys. Oh, I do know why. 2 seconds before we do that. Otherwise, I will cut off one. Oh, I was muted, wasn't I? Sorry, guys. Sitting there talking and I'm going to be muted. Can you hear me now? That must be better. Let's talk about Graham Potter. That's what I was saying. Let's talk about Graham Potter because on to the timeline, it seems like, again, we have one side of the fan base, small minority of the fan base already promoting Graham Potter out. On the other side of it, we've got people that are maybe a little bit skeptical of what he's been doing up to now. And then you've got the people that are fully behind it. And obviously we're going to have that across our fan base. It's normal. Now, the reason I want to talk about him is because the last couple of games, he's had tests. And it's still very early doors for Graham Potter in terms of his own man management, his own management skills in terms of tactics, styles and whatever. But from what I have seen, and I want to talk about specifically about the Man United game yesterday, from what we've seen yesterday. Now, bearing in mind, he's not lost a game. So we've drew a couple, we've won a couple, we've got no L's against his name. People will say, well, that's a good thing. That's cool. And I agree with that. He started very well. We can't knock him for the way that he started. However, in the last two games between Brentford and Man United, there was just two real big things that really got under my skin from what I saw of it. From what I saw of what he can do. And the first, like the Brentford we spoke about, I think he made too many changes. He then decided to make substitutions, but a bit too late in the game. And in all fairness, we probably could have won that game if we'd have made them substitutions earlier, but we didn't do that. In the Man United game, he goes for a back three. I have no issues with that. Whoever, when he listed out who was playing, I was like, Fairs, this is the team. I'm going with that. Made a very quick decision to switch it to a back four, bringing in Kovacic, which then stopped Man United dominating us. And let's be serious. We made Man United played like they were Man City against us. The way they were dominating, moving the ball, passing. We couldn't get hold of the game. Part of the reason why we struggled so much at the beginning of the game, I was there anyway. I went to the game yesterday as well. I was actually sitting with Broha's parents in a box. I got a free ticket and I was in a box with Broha's parents, and that was quite nice actually, drinking champagne, and that was nice. But the reason why we were losing control of that game massively wasn't to do with the defence. It was to do with the midfield, and it was to do with the press from the forward line. The forward line wasn't relieving pressure again, like they did against Villa, off the defence. The midfield were just everywhere. There was just no control whatsoever between Jorginho and Ruben Loftus-Cheek. They got completely dominated, let's be serious, by Casemiro and Eriksen, might I say as well. Yeah, got dominated by both. And you could just see that they were only going to score. It was going one way. I think Anthony had a shot. There was a couple of shots here and there. They just, they were just piling shots against us. And he makes a decision. He brings Kovacic on, all right? Changes it. Great. Well done, Graham Potter. What happened when Kovacic came on the pitch? We had more control of the game. In terms of the ball, we was in more control of the game with the ball, moving the ball around, ball possession, what we usually do. The biggest issue with it all, from when we switched it to the end of the game, was what was we doing with the ball in the final third again? How effective was we with the ball once we switched the foot? Because I see a lot of people saying, well, we were great once Potter switched it. We were decent. We had control of the game again. Granted, I still feel Man United had the first half. I think Chelsea had the second. I thought we took control of the game. But to have, and we're going to look at stats a bit later in the show, to have 6 shots with 3 on target and 2 off target, it's not good enough. Not for 90 minutes against Man United. And what were the main issues of that? And this is where it comes back to Graham Potter. Well, number one, he again decides to leave it very late on substitutions. And I'm talking specifically about the forward line. He brings Broha on again, well too late in the game. 80th minute, he decides to throw on Broha, which he should have done 20 minutes ago. He brings Christian Pulisic on for Aubameyang. I think that must have been 70, 75 minutes or 70 minutes or whatever. Again, too late, We lacked rhythm. We lacked rhythm in what we were trying to do. And it was easy to see that the forward line and the chemistry and the mix and whatever wasn't good enough. On top of that, the lack of creativity for the forward line again. We know that Azpilicueta as a wing-back can only do a certain job. And again, Graham Potter had to pick him there. We had no choice. I get that, because that's an issue to do with the window. We need to find someone. In January, we have to find better backup for that wing-back area. It's not good enough in that wing-back area. But then you look into the midfield and you look at Kovacic, Ruben and Jorginho. Yeah, they had more control of it. But what did they really do with the ball? Again, they were just not progressive enough. It was very sideways, backwards. We was playing at a half tempo. When they did find the forward line had no rhythm to it. There was lack of chemistry. So the fact that he'd done the switch so early in terms of relieving pressure from the defence in us taking control of the game, which is what we did with the 4 at the back, was a good thing. Because we probably could have been 1-2, maybe even 3-0 down to Man United at one point. That's cool. But what is it that we done? What is it that we done after that? Like, how did we look with the ball moving forward? Did we improve anywhere in the forward line once that we went to a 4? No, we didn't. And we can look at personnel in this instance. We can. You can look at Raheem Sterling. You can look at Mason Mount. You can look at Aubameyang. You can look at how they were playing. And they were shit. They didn't work. It was not good enough. And it's not like we haven't got the office on the bench. You've got Pulisic, you've got Conor Gallagher, you've got Broha, Ziyech's even on there, Zakaria's on there. We had more attacking players on the bench than we had defensive players. No Koulibaly on the bench. So my question is, and going back to the whole thing with Graham Potter in the last few games, is my only criticism of him so far, and I hope he changes it, because he can change it. He may just, be quicker with his decision making. His decision making was good in taking Kukurea off and putting Kovacic on, switching the formation. Well done. That was a good sign. The fact that he'd done that so early was a great sign. The issue is the late decisions on the forward line. You could see we weren't doing enough. You could see we weren't creating enough. And how many times did we actually test De Gea in this game? because I know it weren't enough. Change it is what I'm saying. Give us something different. Every player on that bench has something different to the player on the pitch. We have so many chalk and cheese forwards in the team that you can do something different. It's not like you're taking one off to put on another one, which is exactly the same. You look at the forward line; they're all different in how they play, how they present themselves. Guys, can we please make sure we're smashing the likes? Because I know we're nowhere near 50 likes yet. If you please hit the thumb. There's over 140 of you guys here. Big up to every single one of you guys. Please hit that thumb now, though. Let's hit the thumb. Get these likes up. The more quicker we hit the thumb, like I said, the more it spreads across YouTube. And it just helps us. It benefits us. It helps the show. It helps the show grow as well. It helps new people join us as well. Big up to Declare that's in there as well. Our fans already saying in Potter and Potter we trust, or a bit of, well, no. I think I've seen a lot more Potter. Well, there's a couple of minor people that are Potter outers at the moment already, but that's just the reactionary fan base that we live in. Yeah, reactionary FC. We know that. And on the flip side of it, you've got people that still are trusting him and giving the opportunity, which is fine because he's only played what 6 or 7 games, no losses to his name, 2 or 3 draws and 5 wins. Not too bad. It's not too bad. However, why I had to speak of him wasn't to like moan about it, but it was to highlight where I do feel there's an issue from his side, which is something he can. It's not something that's like he cannot sort. He could sort it out like that if he's just a little bit more quicker of his substitutions. I don't really have an issue with the way that he sets up because he try again. I keep telling people you're not going to see Potter ball this season. You're just not. The Potter ball that we saw at Brighton may see 1 or 2 games, 3, 4, whatever games in the season where we look really good. But other than that, you won't see it consistently, which is what everyone wants to see. And why you get the Potter outers is because they want to see that. They want to see, they want to see a change straight away. But then this is why I say to people, take a step back and think, why are we not playing to that level? What is it why are we not consistent with it? Are we just going to keep being reactionary and shouting out to every manager? Think about it. Because the real truth is, behind it all, is looking at the squad we have and the crop of players that we have and the players that are playing within these positions and for the systems that they want to play. And I keep saying it, they are not consistent enough. I keep saying I don't trust these players. I don't trust these players. We have a couple of injuries and we've lost Reece James. And look how unbalanced we are already. Unbalanced we are already with Aspilicueta there, who's trying to do a job, but it's just not at the level of what Reece James is, which hinders the system. That's one issue. You know, it's easy to sit there and point like fingers at Raheem Sterling and Havertz and Mount, and they deserve it to a degree. But it's then understanding the system itself, the balance of the system. Why are we always having this problem? Why can't we just tick and play consistently every game? What is it that's stopping us do that? And then you can only have to look at the personnel and the infrastructure that we've got set up. And the truth is, we need time. We do need time. We need to sort the midfield out. 1 or 2 midfielders for me easily. We need to get a wing back to cover Reece James. We need to get maybe 2 forwards for me. And when I talk about forwards, I'm talking about specific profile forwards, creative forwards that are consistently creative and can dribble, because we have no dribblers on the pitch other than Christian Pulisic and Raheem Sterling, but they just don't. They pick and choose when they want to do it. I want someone that's going to get the ball and be direct consistently in the game. Don't have no dribblers. Everything we do when we play, if you watch us, is all about triangles and sidewards and forward. It's always about the movement. It's nothing. It's never like pass the ball into a forward person, let them turn and dribble past the player, 1-2, and they're in the box and bang. We don't do that because we haven't got that profile player. What it's about with Chelsea is how can we create, how can we move the midfield to the forward line as quick as we can to the opposition box. And once we get there, it's then about passing it around until we find a bit of space behind them and then we shoot. That is us. We don't shoot outside the box because we haven't got the players to shoot outside the box. We don't. So Kovacic and Jorginho shit shooters outside the box. There's only Conor Gallagher and Mount who can actually shoot outside the box. So all we ever try and do is just, you know, play 1-2s and try and get into the little spaces of an opposing defence that is so deep and try and whip balls in. We don't have someone that commits defenders or asks defenders to, you know, to have to come out, run at player, take him on, get round him, make the other one have to run across because you've beaten his man, and then you create another big space in the middle. We don't have that, you know, and that's what I'm saying. Specific profile of players, and on top of that, the consistency to be creative from the deep line. Players that are comfortable in midfield that not only dominate it and control it and protect the defence, but also very progressive going the other way and actually got, you know, can actually pass consistently into the final third. You know, we just miss little bits and bobs around here, and you see it. I see it every fucking day. I keep saying it. I don't enjoy watching Chelsea. I don't enjoy watching us. I've not enjoyed watching Chelsea for a while. The football we play is not good. But it goes past just looking at Graham Potter and Thomas Tuchel and the managers. It gets to the point where you've got to look at the personnel playing the system. And the issue of the personnel playing the system is that they're not consistent. Is that they can only play it to a certain level because their level of performance doesn't allow them, or that their type of player profile of how they play or their ability only allows them to play a certain way. They're not versatile enough. They're definitely not versatile enough to adapt to 3s and 4s. They can do it. We see it because we do it anyway. We can do it to a level. But to what level? How effective are we? And the Man United game yesterday is a great example of a team that can do it and switch, but how effective are we with it, with the personnel on the pitch? And the effective, like we saw yesterday, was 6 shots at goal. Sorry, 6 total shots with 3 at goal and 2 off target in 90 minutes. That's how much creativity from a ball possession team that we are and control that we have of the game. That is how much we create in 90 minutes from, you know, dominating in the second half with the ball as much as we do. What is that? It's absolutely pissing it where I am. What is that? And that's what I'm saying to you. You have to understand where we're at, where we are, and how Graham Potter needs to be given time. He does. But at the same time, I think he needs to help himself. Things don't work or players are just not performing for the first 60 minutes, switch it. Throw the ones that are hungrier, because I guarantee you throw a hungry Pulisic and Burrow on, they're going to just play better than the players on the pitch to prove a point. That's what it's like. That's how it works. You know, that's the thing I think Potter's got to do. He's got to learn to balance and mix and switch and, you know, try and nurse this squad all the way through this, you know, till he gets to some windows. And then we could start looking to improve what he wants to do. But he's not going to be able to do what he wants to do specifically until he can improve the areas that he needs to do it with. It doesn't mean get rid of every player that we got. It just means improving, enhancing the first 11, make it stronger, make it consistent, add the profile players in there. Don't do that. We haven't got that. No, he don't. He doesn't. He's got it for me. That's all we can ask to get through these next 3 games and not fall too far behind the break. Allow us to get some players back to bring us January, and then exactly. But Liam, you understand where we're at with it. That's the thing, and that's why I keep saying it's about understanding where we're at, Chelsea, and that we're going to lose games, we're going to draw games, and we're going to win games in this way. We're not going to watch Chelsea and be so excited and think, "Wow, this was really good." We're just not going to. We're not going to see it yet, and I know that. I'm ready for that. At the same time, I'm just very frustrated by the players and the personnel, especially in games like yesterday, where we could have just held that out and we didn't again. Sky debate yesterday about players saving themselves for the World Cup. Which one of ours do we think? Kai, Sterling? I don't know. Good question, Lee, but I wouldn't even know where to start with that question. They're games you don't play well, but win like Liverpool, win against it. That's it. And that's it, Ashraf. You're right. There's games where you don't play well, like City, but you still win. You still stick to the plan. The players still play 60, 70% to their best, and it's enough. If we don't play over 70 or 80, if we don't play over 80% at our best in this system, with all of the players on the pitch actually playing to that level, we struggle. And if And if 3/4 of that first 11 plays well, but the other quarter don't, you notice it. And it's quite bad. Every player must go, bro. Every single one of them, as iOS is saying. AW Designer, nice to see you as well. Nearly over 200 of you guys here, man. Big up to every single one of you guys. Please make sure we're smashing the likes, though, guys. Come on. There's over 100 of, well, nearly 150 of you guys on Chelsea Fan TV. So let's get this over 50 likes, guys. There's only 35 likes. Come on, man. Please hit the thumb now. Please smash the thumb now. The same with GNA TV. Come on, there's nearly 100 of you guys here as well. But only 26 likes. Come on, guys. Don't have to ask you to smash the like. It is free. It is free. And while you're here, please subscribe. Please subscribe as well. Yeah, there you are. And that's my thing with Graham Potter. It's, no, I don't want him out. But at the same time, he needs to help himself with the substitutions. Make them earlier if things ain't working. But at the same time, he deserves the time to be here and implement the system that he wants to play. But by doing that, you need to give him time, and you need to see if he brings in the specific profile players that he needs to enhance this system. That's where the questions will lie later on. Todd Bowley, him, bringing in personnel, getting them to work, making the bench stronger, more consistent, more options. Come on. Right, going to what is next? Going to our results to Man United. Yeah, it is a bit stinky. It is a bit stinky. Chelsea versus Man United's last 5 fixtures: 1-1. Obviously, yesterday 1-1. The game before 1-1. The game before that 0-0, 0-0. It is literally what Piers said there. Big up to Piers as well. It's literally what he said there. Falling asleep. It's one of the most boring games. It's lucky I was drinking champagne and chilling in a box, which is quite nice, actually. I'm not going to lie. It was. I didn't know it was going to be in there. We just got given a ticket. We walked through, and it was like there was no one around us. It was just a hall with all these different rooms. And then we went in, and there was just people eating food and having like Indian, and there was loads of Laurent Perrier champagne in buckets lined up. And then you walk out, and there's like a row of 2 seats on the box, and they're giving you Laurent Perrier while you're sitting there watching Chelsea Man United right on the lower. It was in the west lower, mid lower. But yeah, it was impressive. It was impressive. But this game wasn't. And when we talk about this game, before we get into the player ratings, I want to talk about a specific player himself. And again, I'm going to keep doing this every time he plays well, because he deserves to be noticed in our fan base. Trevor Chalobah, again, massive performance. Struggled a little bit. I wouldn't say struggled a bit. Did he struggle? No, I wouldn't say he struggled. I just think the system was everywhere in the first half hour or whatever until Kovacic came on the pitch. But as soon as we switched the system, he played him and Silva as the centre backs with Chilwell and Aspilicueta as your fullbacks. And he passed with colours, got stuck in again. He reads danger so well. When I said to you guys last week about him reading danger, he just understands his position. He understands, the role set for him, and he's improved. You can tell he's listening to Silva. He's listening to the others, the experienced ones. And he's taken all of that experience from them to understand the game better and improve his game. And he's improved his game. If you look at what he did, how he was last year to where he is now, he makes less mistakes. He had one little mistake yesterday, but other than that, his mistakes and being aware of danger and being in the right position, understanding the system from the back was great. He deserves it. Man of the match by far again for me. And why he deserves the man of the match award on top of all of that. For these stats, Trevor Chalobah completed more successful passes, 48 out of 56. That's 86% pass accuracy, and won more attacking aerial duels, 2 out of 3 against Man United. Oh, and he still hasn't lost a game when he has started. True, we should have won one yesterday, but we ended up drawing. He still hasn't lost one. Was that 31 games now? 31 games of Trevor Chalobah at Chelsea, no losses. That's pretty impressive, man. He must be our good luck charm. He was out. I don't know why he was out. I didn't hear why he was out. He still isn't any better than Cho. He hasn't been good enough. I think he's still very early, Lee. I think we have to look at Sterling and give him time. However, we are going to talk about him and we are going to criticise him because he wasn't good enough. He generally was just not good enough. Jorginho was shocking, is what Hamza's saying as well. Did very well last match. He has been. He's been, again, probably our most consistent player on the pitch. From, other than from when Silva plays for me. He's been that good. Big up to Trevor Chalobah. And if you want to see his record at Chelsea, when he starts for us, here it is. This is his record. 22 games, 16 wins, 6 draws, and 0 defeats, guys. 0 defeats for 0 defeats for let's give this to someone just asked me when they come in, yeah. Or Chalobah. 0 defeats for Chalobah. So yeah, big up to Chalobah. Well done. Big performance from him as well. Now I want to get into the play. I want to get into the match stats real quickly, and then we're going to do the player ratings, and then we're going to open up the lines and get you guys involved. But in terms of match stats, guys, we didn't dominate this game as much as I thought we did. 47% to 52 to Man United. They were better on the ball. They had more shots than us, so 13 against our 6. 6 shots in 90 minutes, even when we switched the system. 2 on target. 3 off target. 2 shots on target the whole game against Man United with 3 off target. That's how bad our forwards were. That's how bad our creativity from midfield was. That's how bad it was. 78% to their 77% passing, 54% tackles to their 44%, 46% of our aerial duels were lost against their 53%. I mean, we lost everything other than tackles. They got more yellow cards than us. But, the real killer of all of this is here. The total shots. Off target, on target. 3 off target, 2 on target. 6 in total the whole game with Raheem Sterling, Aubameyang and Mount up front. Makes me sick. Not good enough, man. Not good enough one bit. But we are going to do them player ratings. And then we're going to open up the lines and get you guys involved as well. We're going to just fly through these player ratings, like I say. So make sure you're smashing the likes, though, guys. In between this, just please make sure we're smashing the like buttons as well. Kepa. Should we talk about Kepa? Well, I think, and I'm going to be honest here, I think it's going to be, it's very harsh to sit here and criticize and moan. About the performance of Kepa. I mean, Kepa done quite, again, I don't think it was bad. I think he done quite a good job yesterday, Kepa. However, let's get forward in as well while we're doing this. However, should he have saved that goal? This is the big question, isn't it? Because from where I was sitting and visualed it, it looked to me that he was stretching, but it wasn't to the point where it was like a fingertip save. He got a palm to it, right? And then he sort of pushed it onto the post, and then it's rolled or gone. Instead of it coming out, it's gone across the line, and it went over the line and went in. All right. Can we sit here and be too harsh on him for that? Now, I think if you ask me my opinion, putting his form aside, should he have saved that chance? Could he have done better? My answer to that would be yes. It would be. I think he should be doing better with that. However, the whole game, he was flawless for me again, and he was good. And he stepped up when we needed him, especially in the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes of that game when we were getting absolutely dominated. So as much as it's easy to criticise him for that moment, we've seen Mendy do the same. How good was the rest of his performance of the game? The rest of his performance of the game was pretty decent. So for me, it would be out. I know people already caught, going for him, and I'm not his biggest fan. We all know this, but I'm not going to sit here and completely say it was an awful Kepa performance, because it wasn't. He just maybe should have done them, maybe should have made that save for me. I think he should have made that save. So I'll probably still give him a 6 point. No, I'll give him a 7. I'll give him a 7, just purely because everything else other than that was decent. And he done well against Rashford. He got a hand on the Antony shot that I think was bending in as well. He had some good moments again. Forward, welcome, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good, my bro, man. Hope you're doing well.
I am. I'm just frustrated about just dropping it again the last minute. I just wanted to beat these guys so much since we haven't beat them since 2017. But yeah, man, what are you saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I mean, you just have to laugh at it, because otherwise you'll cry. Because it's annoying because it's just so predictable. Like, United is just the most predictable draw of the season, and I even thought maybe we could lose it given the form of both sides going into it. And it's disappointing that even when we scored that late goal, I couldn't even fully celebrate it because I'm like in the back of my mind, these guys could bottle it, and I'm just like, please do not bottle it. And obviously, it sucks the way that we conceded it. We just invited too much pressure. I just look at the positions of Mount and Pulisic, like literally in our back line. Like by the time that they take the long throw in, like we basically have like a back eight and we don't push up and we kind of half clear it. Then Luke Shaw has 2 or 3 seconds to line up the cross and obviously he lines it up. Kepa jumps, Chilwell. And obviously Kepa, he's been in good form. And it's not even like a case of, oh, Kepa let us down. I don't want to start that whole narrative. But my whole thing with Kepa is, again, it's for me, it's all about keeping the same energy. Like he's a short goalkeeper and I've always preferred taller goalkeepers, and other than some very rare exceptions to the rule, like Iker Casillas, short goalkeepers just aren't elite. That they just have a natural deficiency that doesn't allow them to be elite and make saves like that. Because Mendy, on a normal day, saves that quite comfortably, and I'm very assured that he saves that just because he's taller, he has a longer wingspan, and he's able to make those saves. And again, somebody like Casillas that I mentioned earlier, he's got like an amazing spring in his prime, and we saw that once he got a bit older and then obviously Mourinho was manager at the time. His decline was steep. Mourinho benched him, I think, for was it Diego Lobos at the time? Then he got moved on to AC Milan quickly. He lost that spring that allowed him to make those saves. I don't think Kepa has got that amazing athleticism to make kind of saves. Obviously, his height lets him down in those situations. But again, to make it all about Kepa, the performance again was just what we expect from these. Well, so what I expect from these players, and again, a lot of fans starting to understand that. Where this team is at is just a million miles away from being the best team in the world, which is again what we want Chelsea to be, what we should be aiming for, what the aim of our board has been based on how much money we're spending year on year. But again, the players that we're bringing in isn't good enough. Football that we're playing isn't good enough, and hopefully it changes. And I saw some positive signs. If I'm going to try and be a bit positive, I saw some positive signs today, or rather yesterday, that it can get a bit better. So I'm just hoping Potter leans into those things and we see an improvement.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on that one. And again, I mean, we're gonna get into this, but when I don't know if you was watching the show, but I was talking about how with Potter, there were already some Potter outers on the timeline. It's normal because we've got a reactionary fan base, and that's what some people will like. But it gets for me, it goes past Potter, doesn't it? Because like you said, and you said it exactly what I said about 20 minutes ago, is that it's understanding where you're at, where this squad is, and knowing what it can offer. And that's the truth. It's understanding that there is still. We've had this conversation already, but there is still areas that we need to improve. There's weaknesses in the creativity element. Again, even yesterday, 6 shots, 2 on target, 3 off target, just goes to really explain what I was saying to you the other day about creativity and missing profile of players. And why I think Graham Potter got it right in terms of switching the formation and bringing Kovacic on, which was a good thing because we were getting dominated by Man United like they were Man City. It was ridiculous the first whatever minutes. What did we then do? Even though we gained control and we know that we can gain control and move the ball and just put our it's what do we do with the ball since then till the 90th minute? And we didn't do anything again, and that's where I then look at Graham Potter and say, well, you played Sterling, you played Aubameyang, they were non-existent, change it earlier. And he didn't. He left it late again. Brower came on in the 80th minute. So that's the criticisms that I have of Potter, but it doesn't mean it's something that's like can't be sorted, because these are things he could just completely start doing straight away, right? If he starts noticing it more sooner in terms of if the forward line ain't ticking, switch it earlier. But, 2 games in a row, he's done that. And I just hope that he can notice that when someone's not playing well, change it earlier. That's the only thing I really ask for. But I don't really know if I want to rate Cucurella because I don't really. I don't know. I don't really know what to say because I don't really blame him for that first half. Do you know what I mean? I just didn't. I said when I saw that lineup, why is he playing it? And everyone in the pub went to me, "That's all right. It's good." I went, "What do you mean it's good? Did you watch Villa?" And they were like, "No, it's fine. It's fine. It's good. He's all right." Now, I don't actually blame Cucurella for this performance. I think he just got picked. It could have been Chilwell, to be honest. It could have been any of them for me. Like, any of them could have come off for the first 30, 20 minutes before he made the substitution. But the fact that he chose Cucurella to come off and then put Chilwell as a fullback, fine. But, it wasn't as evident or as obvious as the Villa game in terms of mistakes from his side. I just think the midfield was horrendous in that period where the defence was just getting hit time after time after time, no control, whatever else. So
Mm.
yeah, he came off. I mean, do you really want to rate him? I don't really want him forward because I don't really think there's not much he could really have done, to be honest, in that.
Yeah, I don't think he was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just difficult to rate him. Obviously, I guess we'll talk about the midfield and like what his changes afterwards. I guess, I mean, just to touch on that quickly though. Obviously, again, it wasn't a good performance, or I wasn't happy with how Potter set up the team again. I do think this was kind of one of his worst games tactically. But of course, you have to
Yeah.
be given credit for at least changing it. And again, that's where I have some optimism about yesterday and the fact that maybe we can get better going forward because he's seen that we do need a three-man midfield and that any combination of just Jorginho, Kovacic, or Jorginho, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, or Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Kovacic, it's just you're just always missing something in that midfield and the ability to like really control games. And again, Kovacic came on just like the Brentford game and brought up control. And I don't necessarily think Kovacic himself was great. I think he could have done more in the areas that he got into in the final third, just like Brentford. But at least then we had some control of the game, and it isn't really on Cucurella. But I guess he was just a means to an end in terms of improving what we were seeing.
Yeah. What about Ben Chilwell then? I'll let you start with Ben Chilwell. I mean, what was your thoughts? Forward? You hear me? I think he's gone. Hello? Right, well, I'll start. Ben Chilwell and his performance. I don't think Ben Chilwell's been in any real great form. I'll be honest with you. Yesterday,
Can you hear me
again, I
now?
thought he struggled. Oh yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, that's it. You just went for a second. I said, you. What about Ben Chilwell? You can start with it if you
Ben
want.
Chilwell.
Yeah.
I thought he was all right. I thought he was all right. I mean, he had some decent moments. Across the Aubameyang was a really good cross, and I think he was better in that sense. I feel like with all of his performances, he's still quite safe. Which again is just I think just kind of how he's always been to a degree, but especially since the injury. But I do think he's a lot more comfortable playing as a left back. So yeah, I'd probably give him like 5.56, depending on what you've been giving other players. But yeah, I think he was just okay.
I think he was a 5 at a max. I just think he struggled. I don't think he really. I mean, he offered a little bit going forward, but just not enough. And I think without Reece James being there, you expect that side to be a lot more influential, and especially now he's back as well. But then at the same time, it's understanding that he's come back from a big injury and whatever else. I don't know. I wasn't overly impressed with it, is all I would say on them. You know, there's not much more to say other than I don't think he's fully fit. I still don't think he is. But we move, you know, hopefully, you know, that we find form moving forward. I mean, we're not losing games, don't get me wrong, but I just can see in the way that we're playing that we just don't look comfortable at the moment. And it's, you know, people like himself don't look like they're ticking. And you need people like Ben Chilwell in this system to be ticking for us to be playing well to a certain level, you know, and I just don't feel that at the moment. So, yeah, I mean, for me, it would have been a 5. What about Trevor Chalobah? Because he got man of the match yesterday again. Obviously, he was playing in the back three and then went into a back four, Thiago Silva. I thought he was awesome again, I'm going to be honest with you. But, I mean, what was your thoughts?
Oh no, he was unbelievable, bro.
Yeah.
Unbelievable performance. Again, like even the Brentford game he done a lot of things really good, but then I still saw a couple of mistakes. So I was like, and again with Trevor, like I have such. I love the kid so much. I'm so happy for him being able to come into the team. So sometimes I can be a bit harsh with some criticism just because I want him to do so well. But United, I thought he hardly put a foot wrong, if any, bro. Like he was just immense, bro. Ridiculous performance, and certainly if we're going to play in a back four, where again I feel like your athleticism is a bit more important in that back four. I guess especially with Jorginho being the anchor as a DM, you need somebody with his legs in the back line and his recovery pace, ability to win duels, and yeah, he was phenomenal, bro. Even almost got a goal as well. So big credit to him. I'd probably give him a 9, bro.
A 9, yeah. I would probably join you on that. I mean, I don't have much more to say other than the boy seems to improve him more. He's playing next to Thiago Silva. You can see that he's actually taking it in. I think when you look at his performances last year, which some of them are very good, to this year, he's just more consistent. And the fact, again, he hasn't lost a game. Should have won really yesterday, and you know, rather than getting a draw against it. But 16 wins, 6 losses. Sorry, 16 wins, 6 draws, and 0 losses is his record playing for Chelsea at the moment. It's impressive, and I like Trevor Chalobah. You know, I think again one of our most consistent players so far this season. He keeps getting better and better and better. But, so saying 9's a madness, 9. I thought he was good. If he's our man of the match and best player on the pitch, it goes to say, man, I thought he was really good.
Can I just add that, like, it's not that new for Chalobah either. Like, he had performances like this last season as well. And I feel like we do take it for granted as a fan base because he didn't have the biggest hype. He wasn't bought for big money. Even other youngsters like Mason Mount and Hudson, they had a bit more clamour around him when he got into the first team. And I feel like Chalobah's had to kind of like earn that the hard way. But he's performing, bro. So I think people just got to big him up and accept that he's performing like, as a top player. And again, I say it all the time. Like, if he was Koundé, and we were meant to sign Koundé not last summer but the summer before, people will be so happy with how he's performing. And I think just because of Chalobah, kind of people want to like kind of undermine his performances a little bit. But you got to big him up, man. He's performing.
He does. And I agree with you on that one. Thiago Silva, El Monstro, one of our other most consistent players. What was your thoughts?
Got another really good Thiago Silva performance.
Yeah.
Obviously, he got caught out a bit more with Rashford's pacing behind. I think of even the chance that Anthony had as well. I think he got caught a little bit further up the pitch. One Rashford chance as well, which Kepa did come out well to save. But he stepped up. But again, that was more in the midfield, losing the ball in a bad area. But again, no, I think obviously Composer's always on the ball. He's showing that he can play in the back four, though I do think he's a little bit more vulnerable. But no, I think he still had a good display. And yeah, I'd probably give him 7.58. Because again, obviously, other than the last goal, which you can see, he were on course for another clean sheet. So be 7.5 or 8 on that.
I don't really get the low ratings for the defense. Was it like what? Why was it like? I know we didn't play well yesterday, but why is it now like the defense didn't play well? I don't think the defense done bad. I think the first half was why I felt there was so much pressure on the defense was because we had nothing in midfield. There was no protection, and that was hard, specifically. But they got through it together, and they done well in certain parts of that hard period, and why people feel that it's a low rating. I am Silva lacks off speed. Wade explode this game. I don't know what you're talking about, Gerson. I'll be honest with you, mate. I don't know. I mean, the lines will open, so you can come in and have your say. But I don't get what you're talking about. Silva's lack of speed. I don't get this thing where people talk about his lack of speed. His reading of the game doesn't really like he doesn't have to worry about his speed because he's reading the game's always usually on point. He always knows. He's always a step ahead. He always knows where to be in terms of position. Even in the back four yesterday, where we were more comfortable, him and Chalobah were awesome. They just dominated between them. For me, it was, again, I would probably say it was probably an 8 for me, Thiago Silva. I always think he's consistent, man. I always think he's consistent. I heard someone this morning talking about how we've got to get rid of him because, we have to play a back three because of him and all this stuff. And I was just laughing to myself. Some of the things I hear from people.
That's not at all. Honestly, if you get the right DM in front of him, because obviously, there is a lack of pace. Clearly, again, his reading of the game allows him to be able to make up for that. And we don't see him often in like 1v1 races up the channel or anything like that. He's able to manage himself and to get the best out of what his skill set is. But obviously, if we were to play a forward back long term, then we would need a different type of DM in front of him just to cover the spaces a bit better. Because again, for the Anthony chance, when obviously if he has a right foot, he scores. That kind of comes from our DM, which we'll get onto, getting bullied by Bruno, which again, it's Bruno. You shouldn't be bullying any RDM. Like, you couldn't do that to flip prime Obi Mikel or Matic, would he? And obviously then Thiago Silva kind of caught slightly out of position with Anthony running in behind. But obviously that can happen. You don't have the right setup, which obviously we certainly need to get to in the next few windows.
100%. Let's move on. Azpilicueta, I'll be quick. I ain't really got much to say about it. It was a bit of a bang average performance again. So poor going the other way for me. But you know what you get from him in that position. You just know it's what it is. Like we said earlier, it's understanding this system and what this team and the players that play within the system and what they can offer up to this point. We just know, it's not bad. It's not great. It's just sometimes it's just meaty or it's just okay. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing amazing about it. So for me, Azpilicueta was probably a 6.6 maybe. As like Ben Chilwell, I thought both our fullbacks were a bit meaty yesterday. So yeah, what about you?
I'll probably give him a 5, if I'm honest. I thought, again, defensively, I wouldn't say he was that bad, but at the same time, like, he was playing against Sancho, he was anonymous. Like, I mean, they had a 10 men on the pitch until Fred came on for him. So, like, he didn't really have much to do defensively with Sancho. And then going forward again, wasteful in so many good opportunities to like either whip crosses in or just retain the ball a bit better. And again, he's just so stiff on the ball. And again, it hurts to say because obviously club legend, we should all have so much respect for the guy, but obviously he should not be playing right back. I've been saying, I mean, there's so many guys in this team who shouldn't be playing here that we were saying this maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and they're still in the team. And for Aspie, I've always said, okay, maybe he can still do a job as like our third choice right centre back in the three, but starting at right back, bro, against Man United, it's ridiculous to me. So yeah, I give him a 5. We just need so much more. And again, if we got Kyle Walker Peters in the summer, then obviously the situation will be completely different. But Tuchel wanted him to stay, and here we are.
I think we've got more pressing concerns going the other way, and this is what we're going to get into now, guys. But make sure that we're smashing the likes as always. Please, over 150 people in here as well. Big up to every single one of you guys on this Sunday. But make sure we're getting the likes up as always. Subscribe to the channel as well, both GNA TV and Chelsea Fan TV. We're going to move on to the midfield. And before we go to Jorginho, I want to go to Ruben Loftus-Cheek. And before I say what I think, I'm going to ask you forward because I'm interested. What was your thoughts on Ruben Loftus-Cheek?
Not his best game. Not his best game. I think with Ruben, because he doesn't have a great game, I think a lot of people will be quick to just malign him and say, "Oh, he's the problem," this, that, the other. But I'm gonna just go off what I thought when I watched the performance. I even watched a bit of it back because obviously live I was watching some of the UFC as well that was going on. But I feel like first half he was having to do a lot of covering for Jorginho, which again we saw second half he just fades in games quickly. I don't think he's really built up the ability to play a really intense 90 minutes yet. I think it's good that he can still play games like play 2 or 3 games a week, which means he's come a long way from where he was just a few years ago, if not just a year ago, really. And I thought obviously like our whole team, he got a bit better once we changed the system, and he was finally I've been waiting years for him to finally play as a box-to-box midfielder. I feel like it's been so long overdue. And I thought like he will improve in that position, but as a 2, he just doesn't have enough of like the tactical awareness to be in the right positions to receive passes, to allow us to alleviate some of the pressure. Because again, when he plays 1v1, he's very good at dribbling out of spaces and being very pressure resistant. Although yesterday he was actually caught out on a couple of occasions, which was quite poor for him. On a couple of occasions that led to chances. I think Rashford's first chance kept saved the world that came from him losing the ball. Even second half as well, there was another opportunity that came from him dribbling it in just on the wrong areas, which he shouldn't be doing. So, poor game from Ruben. Probably give him a 4.5, maybe just about a 5. I'm going to be kind because I like the player a lot. But again, what I will say is, and what obviously I started off from the top with, is just that I do feel more comfortable with this setup of playing a 3-man midfield, and I feel like players like him will thrive a lot more in that. But for yesterday, you have to give him a 4.5.
I'll just be honest and straight. I thought it wasn't one of his best games. I actually hear a lot of what you say. I don't think we should be moaning that he's like, that it's all his fault, blah, blah, blah. But he struggled in midfield along with the next person that we're going to talk to in a bit as well, who I thought was even worse. But for me, it was a 4.5 for me. I didn't think he had a good game. Didn't dominate the game, didn't use the ball well enough for me, didn't move forward like we have seen him do, break the lines and whatever. So for me, 4.5 for me for Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Not much more said. What about this guy? I mean, a lot of people critical of this guy yesterday, and I keep saying why, and the type of performance and level of performance we get when this guy's starting games, and this is why I don't want him always starting games. And yesterday he starts this game, and I mean, go on forward. I'll let you start.
I mean, it's funny because like earlier in the week, obviously I was saying that he was one of our best players against Brentford, which obviously split opinion, and I still stand by that. Obviously, like I've said, I'm just not a fan of him as our DM, and I feel like he has his place in certain teams. But again, I just the way that we're just a slow possession-based team, like it's just, and obviously he's so key to that, but he just gives away so much in terms of his physical attribute that what he does on the ball isn't worth what he doesn't bring to us off the ball, and that's just the fact of the matter. Some decent passes, some deep control that he brings, and like being able to play through the press at times. Although first half we were just struggling with United's press, and they really dominated that midfield battle. And obviously then we see all of his flaws. And not a good game at all. Reliable from the penalty spot with respect to that. It was a big moment, and he stepped up. But in the end, it didn't even get us the 3 points. And in the midfield, just bullied on so many occasions. Casemiro really dominated that midfield, bro. Really dominated that midfield. And obviously, then Bruno, he was directly on it. Got so much change out of him for just repressing him, harassing him. Even when he was on the ball, shrugging him up for certain situations and getting shots off. And just his spatial awareness, bro. Like times where he just tries, because like the thing of Jorginho, like he is good at reading the game and like being able to intercept passes. But because he's got such a lack of mobility, when he does that, he leaves such a space in behind that he can't cover. And like Kante's similar, where Kante's amazing and another level at intercepting the ball. But then when he goes and he doesn't get there, like his recovery pace is insane to be able to get back. And Jorginho doesn't have that. And again, when your midfield partner is Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who isn't a natural defensive midfielder, it just leaves so many gaps for players like Eriksen, Casemiro, Bruno to exploit. So yeah, I'd probably give him a 4. It would have been lower, but obviously he scored the penalty, so fair play for that. But I'll give him a 4.
I think you summed it up. And I keep saying this about Jorginho. I don't think he should start games. And this is what I'm saying about if he stays, he has to be on rotation. We need to improve with 1 or 2 players specifically in that position. And I stick by that. I don't care what anyone tells me. What he offers, which is good compared to the bad, I always feel that the bad is more of a problem in the way that we play, especially against the top 6 team who are going to be dominant, better players in midfield. He got bullied yesterday in the midfield. I don't care what anyone says. He was losing the ball. He had no rhythm. He couldn't get the ball up to the forward line. He provided no protection to the defence whatsoever. Nor did Ruben as well. Both of them were doing the same thing. But Jorginho was the one sitting more. That's what he does. He sits. And you just know that he's going to get bullied off the ball. You know that he's weak. You know that he can offer something with the ball. But if you don't have the ball or you're being dominated, you need someone to relieve you. You need someone that's going to get stuck in and relieve the defense of the ball and stuff like that. He just don't give us that. Like, I can't stress it. Like, Jorginho is he's frustrating. And I'm telling you now, we have to look past this guy. We have to look past this guy. And if he stays at Chelsea, he comes on when we're winning games and controls the game, ball control, like everyone says. He passes the ball around and recycles it. Fine. Cool. But other than this, he can't start games like this. I'm sorry, we can't. I'd rather have Kovacic and someone else in there. We lose too much in the midfield and we don't get anything from it with him. He's too slow with the ball. He takes too many touches. He's weak when he gets pressured off the ball. He's easy to tackle. His interceptions are okay. He gets, he can get stuck in and, he does these little bits aside, but it's still not enough for me with Jorginho, especially from what we require in this system and what was required from that position specifically. Just not good enough. We need something else, and I'm cool with it because I understand. This is where I look at it and I go, well, Graham Potter, we don't have much options in the midfield. 3 6s in the whole system. One of them's injured, and then you got 4 with Kante injured, Kovacic, Ruben, and Jorginho. He has to utilize it for now. It is what it is. He can't. He's just got to use what he's got to use. But this is why I say to guys, you're not going to see any better. I do get a bit frustrated when I don't see Zakaria, just because I don't know what to expect. Obviously, Potter maybe thinks he's not ready, but I'm looking and I'm like, well, why can't we just throw in him and just see? Do you know what I mean? Like, we'll see if it gives us a bit of energy or something.
I mean, I hear it. It's just again, but the thing is, because we're like a possession-based side, and we rely heavily on our build-up. Like, I just don't think Zakaria fits that mold. He just doesn't. Watching from Mönchengladbach to Juventus, he doesn't fit that mold. And obviously, some injuries. I think confidence isn't the best. And if you were to throw him in, just like we did Saul, he was again a player that was out of favour at Atletico. He could just drown just like Saul did. So it's difficult. And obviously, I think like if for him, it would have been better for him to sometimes get like 5 or 10 minutes in certain games where we're already winning. But at the same time, we've not really been comfortable in that many games this season, so it's been difficult for him to get a chance. But again with Jorginho, like I've said, with many guys in the squad, Aspilicueta was another one, Alonso was another one for so many years. We just don't move these guys on quick enough, and we should be moving them on. And there was a brilliant DM in the market that was available for us to go and get in Tchouaméni, and we dropped the ball.
Yeah, but apparently he was flop at Chelsea as well. He was flop at Chelsea as well, bro.
I mean, they'll say this. They'll say he wasn't ready. They say you guys didn't have enough experience enough. We should go get Saul because he's Champions League proven. And all this bullshit.
Anyway, but, we move. Mateo Kovacic came on. He did change game. Apparently, he's playing with a knee injury forward, is what Potter says. Does that worry you in terms of, like, obviously, no N'Golo Kante, we've got a player running around half injured, trying to bring balance to the midfield because our midfield's that bad. Let's be serious. It's that bad. So, I mean, maybe it answers the question to why Kovacic's performances have been up and down, right? If he's carrying this so-called knee injury and playing with injections and whatever, like, what's your thoughts on Kovacic in this game?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense because I've been very frustrated with Kovacic in recent games. You know what? I watched the Brentford game back actually after I came on the stream. And wow, again, similar to today, he brought control coming off the bench, which obviously was part of the change of system. And I think in the build-up, he done good things for us for sure, no doubt about it. But a player of his ability, yes, I know that you're not necessarily a Fabregas or a Thiago or one of these guys who's so creative or a Modric or whatever, but with your technical ability, bro, you should be able to do a lot more when you're entering these situations. You're entering the final third. And I'm not saying you should be banging them in for 30 years like you did against Liverpool, because I know that was a 1 in a million shot. But just certain a bit times to just like find the right pass, and just to create, bro, because you know you have the technical ability and we just don't see it. And I think the knee injury does make sense, because a little bit he's been a little bit worse than what he was last season. Last season, he had some really good patches of form for sure. And again, it's similar to last season where I think Tuchel revealed at pretty much the similar time in the season as well last year that Jorginho was playing with a bad back for many weeks because we had just another injury crisis in midfield. And again, it goes to show that when you don't reinvest in this area, we're left with the same midfielders, and you look at all of our midfielders, they're all known for being injury prone, other than Jorginho, who's picking up injuries here and there. But Ruben Loftus-Cheek been injury prone his entire career. Kante, we've known he's been injury prone for 2 or 3 years. Kovacic always picks up injuries. Like we've known this since he was in Italy, bro. Like, and we didn't reinvest. We then bought another player in Zakaria who is injury prone, funnily enough, and we just don't trust the player in our system. So again, failings of Marina, the board for many years, Tuchel as well, of course. It is what it is. But as in terms of his performance and what I'd grade him, probably give him 5.5 or 6. And again, I think that's a bit harsh because he did help to change the game in favor for us. But I think that's just more down to the system rather than performance. So,
but he still, he still didn't offer. Yeah, he still didn't offer, and this is the problem. He came on, balanced it, but what did they actually offer to the forward line? Like, where was the creative again? From him and Ruben specifically, there was just nothing. You know, that's the problem for me. I'd say a 5. You know, he changed the game and we had more balance, but it's like, what did we get from it other than control, other than potentially losing the game? You know, because we probably would have lost the game in the way that we were playing the first half, to be honest. But yeah, I ain't got much more to say on it, to be honest. I want to move on because I want to get stuck into the forward line. I was quite critical on Chelsea fan cam yesterday. People saw it of one individual, and Graham Potter to a degree. Raheem Sterling, Man United, 0 goals against them in his whole career. I'll be quick and start with this. Yeah, because I need to just say this. When he came to Chelsea, I told everyone that he's a good signing, and I still back that. Yeah. However, 2 things. 1, when a player's out of form, it doesn't matter about the profile or how much you're getting paid, you bench him. Yeah. I get why he started this game because of the team we're all playing. You play your best players. I get that, right? But he dropped a stinker for 80 minutes. Absolute stinker. He gave the ball away. He was wasteful with it. All right, we moan about the creativity for them, and I get that. And part of it is maybe to do with that. But when the ball did find them, what did we see in terms of the transition, the patterns of play with the forward line, trying to break the Man United defence down? This guy doesn't like dribbling. This guy doesn't like running forward with the ball. This guy is not making runs in behind. He's very weak on the ball yesterday. His decision-making was awful. And then this is why I always then look at Graham Potter and I say, you can see he's not in form. You can see it's not working. It hasn't worked for a couple of games for me. And everyone stayed very quiet on Raheem Sterling. Everyone's kind of just let it dawdle along. You know, we picked on Kai Havertz last week. This week, we're picking on Mason Mount. Some people are now starting to point fingers at Raheem Sterling. But it's about time that he holds the bench because you can't perform like he did yesterday for 80 minutes and offer nothing. And he offered nothing. And Pulisic should have came on at half or 60 minutes max for me. Yeah. And he needs to hold bench. I don't care about the profile player. I don't care if he's got a World Cup around the corner. I'm sorry. I don't care. I'm not having... You can't have players on the pitch that are just going to disappear and doss around and not really get involved and whatever. Like, he was awful yesterday for me, and he was frustrating. He frustrated me so much when he had the ball. He was making the wrong decision every time, and for me, he was a 2. That's how bad he was yesterday. Like, you know, you want your best players to step up in these games. That's the whole point that you buy these players. Raheem Sterling scores goals. He's Premier League proven. We know that. You know, he is a big game player when he wants to be. But he let us down yesterday. And they're the players that we need to look at when we're struggling to get us out of stuff. Eden Hazard style-esque. Yeah, that's what we want. He can't do it. And at the same time, I keep saying it, we do need more around him. You know, people that can offer the dribbling aspect to create space and whatever. But still, in his own personal performance, when he had the ball, he wasn't good enough. So for me, he was a flop yesterday. That's what I'm going to say. 2. What are you saying, Forward?
I mean, I agree with everything you said, bro. Took a lot of the words out of my mouth, man. Wow. I mean, the only thing that I can add is just that I was one of the people in the summer that just was not impressed by this signing. And again, you obviously try to always be optimistic, and you say, you know what, maybe we, like I said, even on the last stream, maybe we can see the England version of Sterling where he was direct, he was running, he was deciding games for England and whatnot, and it was cool. But what we're seeing is just the Sterling that we've seen if you've been watching Man City for the last 2 years. Even you think of the form leading up to our Champions League final when we played them, and then he out of nowhere started the game when he was out of form, and Reece James pocketed him like it was nothing, bro. Like, that's the Sterling that we're seeing at Chelsea. So there's nothing different other than the fact that he was playing for the most creative side in European football in Man City, and he's gone to a Chelsea side that are institutionally dysfunctional. Like, it's a massive drop up. So obviously, in the sense that, and I said at the start of the season that I'm probably going to feel sorry for Sterling at points in this season because of how inept this team is in terms of creating chances and just being fluid compared to Man City. And there is an element of me feeling a little bit sorry for him, but at the same time, performances like yesterday can't be accepted at this club. Was just cowardice, the performance. Like, there was no braveness in terms of like wanting to do something with the ball, try and create, try and do anything. Losing the ball at will, he just looked lost. And another dead performance against United, which I've seen for many years watching him with Man City. 2 is exactly what I would have given him. 2 as well. Terrible. And again, this is what happens when you just sign names and you don't go for the right profile that this team needs. Because you brought in a scoring winger, which to a degree we need, but we needed more creativity, more players who can create for themselves. Because currently we do not have a system like Man City and Liverpool when they were fluent that helps feed their attackers. We need attackers and players who can create for themselves, who can do off their own back. Because a lot of the time we give the ball to our attackers in static positions. And when you have a lot of control and you defend pretty well, and again, now we have 5 clean sheets in 6 games. We almost kept another clean sheet. So defensively, we're doing pretty decent. But then, again, and that's the benefit of being this control possession-based side. But then the other side is then you need your world-class attackers. And in the past, we had Eden Hazard or Diego Costa, and guys who can just win you games. Even again, they're not similar. They're not the same as us, but they're kind of similar in their approach at times. Obviously, the same setup as well with Tottenham. And again, they're a dead football team as well. Don't get it twisted. they're a shocking football team, but at least they have Harry Kane and someone who can win them games like once or twice a month, by themselves. We do not have that in these attackers, and we sign another attacker that's going to just fall into the mode of not being good enough for this club.
It is, but at the same time, it begs the question, doesn't it? Why is it that when we buy players, they all struggle? We moaned at Havertz, moaned at all these players for for the last couple of years about them not fitting, and it's what you said. We're not picking the right profile of players to mix. And just to
add as well, say we did sign, like, let's say.
You cut forward. Where you gone? He's disappeared. Bring back Tuchel's. IS is saying Tuchel's talent idea was terrible. Is what Jack feels. Rather have Trossard, at least. Potter knows. Forward is cut off. I don't know what happened to him.
Sorry, I'm back. Sorry. My connection is as inconsistent as our attack. My bad. Yeah, yeah. I even forgot what I was gonna say, bro. Just let's go on to the next dead attacker, man.
No, I was just going to say, it does beg the question when we moan about our forwards all the time. So it's his fault. He's crap. He's crap. He's crap. It gets to the point where you got to actually look at the system and what's in it and the mix. And I keep talking about the
Yeah,
mix and what you need to have to it. And it needs creativity. It screams creativity, not only from the midfield, but from a forward like an Eden Hazard that can dribble and create 1-2s, do that. That Leao type of player, along with maybe an Nkunku, who we might be seeing at Chelsea, who is a different type of striker because he does get involved with the link up play and he can come off the wing, and obviously we know he's deadly in the middle of the box as well. So again, it just goes back to maybe just needing more, and we know Ziyech's not good enough. We know Havertz is struggling. Mount is been inconsistent, but we have to find a way to fit him in and whatever. But we move from Raheem Sterling, and I want to go on
just one
quickly.
thing I wanted to add because I did remember what I was gonna say, and it's just brief. It's just a brief one. That let's say like the links to Neymar in the summer were true, and we actually did bring him in. Obviously, he would improve us tremendously in defense, in attack. But the form that we're seeing him have for PSG this season, he would not replicate here because the system just doesn't allow our attackers to be at their best. And again, it exposes all of their flaws. And of course, you need to be a really good attacker just to get anything out of this attack, just to be great. And I think obviously Liao and Kunku, they will improve it, but as a team, we need to get better.
Yeah, and at the same time, I keep saying from the deep line, you need to have a midfield that's comfortable and dominant as well. We don't have that. I think we have quite a weak midfield overall, if you're my honest opinion. Like
They're
we can
fragile.
dominate. Yeah, it's fragile. Yeah, we can play. We can dominate games with ball possession, but it's what they do with the ball possession. They like doing the sideways, backwards, and slowing down, and not not passing the ball quick enough forward, which I saw Declan Rice do fair enough against Liverpool a lot. From deep, it's that type of player that you need to just make sure that they're always looking forward, they're always feeding that forward line, always making sure that they get the ball, because giving them the ball means that they can then play to their strengths and be attackive and whatever, and but then also it's them finding the chemistry. And so this is what I'm saying, Potter really has a challenge in terms of getting rid of players, but also finding the right profile players to bring the best of what he wants to do as well. But Aubameyang, I'll be honest with you, he was not good. He's another 2 for me. He was pretty useless. But with Aubameyang, it goes back to one real big thing for me when I look at him as the type of player that he is. If you don't create anything, he just disappears. We see it with Lukaku. We've seen it with others. If you don't do anything, they can't do anything without it. Like if you don't create enough in the box for him, or at least dominate the midfield and make stuff for these guys, he can't do anything. And even when he drops deep, and he did a couple of times to try and pick balls in, he shouldn't be doing that. And we can see him do it a couple of times, play off the left and whatever. But that's when you know that he's having a frustrating game in my eyes. Where we're not able to find him and give enough of the ball to him or play balls behind, or which we didn't do yesterday. So for me, it's a thing of like, it's different with Aubameyang because he can score goals still. I know he can score goals, but if you don't make anything, he's not going to do anything. So again, if he's not going to influence it, or we're struggling as a team to create for him, then you throw on someone like Broha a lot earlier, because as we see, that boy will make things happen for himself. Even if the ball's 20 yards away from him, he will chase it, he'll hunt it, and he'll make something of it with his pace and his strength. And that sometimes is a different way of attacking it in terms of the forward element, and it gives you something different. And then from that mistake that defender made, that Burrow then wins, and you see that we go on the break and whatever. Like it just gives you something different. Is what I'm saying with Aubameyang. If you're not dominating, you're not creating enough, and we're not that fluid Chelsea, it's hard for him to get involved. And that's why I think we should always look at the bench sooner rather than later, 70, 80 minutes, where they're just walking around for like 80 minutes, not able to do much. But for me, it was a 2. What are you saying, Ford?
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't as bad as Sterling, but I probably still give him a 2 just because ineffective, bro. Just ineffective. With some of the half chances that he got around the box, again, his touch let him down. Some of his decision making again was just strange, like in terms of actually just maybe taking a shot rather than taking a touch. Even from the first game that he had here against, what was it, Zagreb, away from home, where Tuchel got sacked, and like I think open in 10 minutes, we actually looked pretty good, and it's like, oh, like we're looking good. Aubameyang's getting chances, but he tried to square them on both occasions where he could have shot, and it was just like, why are you making those decisions? It doesn't make sense. And again, these are just some of the mental lapses that he has in his game, clearly. And again, there's not really much to say other than we don't really play to our strikers' strengths. But then when we don't do that, I think it's better to have a striker that can at least create for himself and do more for himself, because we've had strikers like Lukaku, who needs a certain type of service, and obviously he's very limited in his movement. Werner, just a one-trick pony. And then obviously Aubameyang is a poacher who had some pace in his prime, so that means when he loses that pace, he loses a lot of what he had in his what he had to his game. And I think with Broja, at least, while he's not the finished product, he's a bit raw, certain. At least in a game like this, he can go and run somebody like Lisandro Martinez ragged, bro. Like he can run at him and make it a difficult game for that guy. He can go and run at the fragile Varane and like let him have 20, 30 minutes more time to go and do that. And again, sometimes the pot are not changing the game early enough. But again, let me not get too ahead of myself with that. Aubameyang, 2 is fine for him, bro. 4.
Yeah. Let's talk about Mason Mount, because again, he got a lot of slander. I saw some people saying this is what happens when Mount plays. He's useless. He doesn't do anything. He's crap. And again, I say the same thing. He wasn't good yesterday. Off the ball, he does what he does, which is try and work hard, get stuck in, win balls back and whatever, which he's doing. But the lack of chemistry and fluidity from the midfield to the forwards, and the lack of like creativity, the lack of like everything in and around just wasn't right yesterday. And from a forward line perspective, you could see by only having 6 shots, 3 off target, 2 on, just goes to show. And Mason Mount's a part of that forward line, and he does deserve to be looked at. Don't get me wrong. And it wasn't a good, I don't think, very good performance from him. At the same time, Sterling was poor. Aubameyang wasn't big creative for the midfield were poor to the point where he had to probably be a lot deeper in terms of defending and helping out and getting stuck in and becoming more ineffective, because you want Mount in them pockets, and when he's in them pockets, it's about the midfield winning the battles and playing the balls quickly into him. And we didn't do that yesterday. And this thing of, you know, he needs to hold bench and he's not good enough, this, that, and the other, I just think it's a little bit too far, Mason Mount. I think we can talk about him not playing well in this game, and we can all agree on that. But you know, to point fingers and say he's not good enough, and you know this, that, and the other, I think it's a little bit wrong in my opinion. It wasn't much better than Sterling or Aubameyang in my opinion as well. So it's probably if I don't know, he could throw a 2 at it, maybe a 3 at it. I don't know. I mean, forward, what are you saying?
Yeah, I mean, I just looking at him and like the attackers on the pitch, including Man United, and maybe with the exception of Anthony, though he does not have a right foot. It was just a complete mid-off yesterday, bro. Like these attackers are shit. like, I remember growing up watching the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Rooney, like Nani when he was really good. Berbatov, I'm like, oh, that's a top attack, bro. Tevez. I'm like, damn, that is threatening. But you know what? On our side, we've got Drogba and Nelka, like maybe Robin, Joe Cole, Damien Duff, like later on Diego Costa, Eden Hazard, like. But now, bro, these 2 attacks are shit, bro. Like, flipping now. And again with Mason, like if this was us in our prime, like one of the best positions of Chelsea, then we can look at his form and be like, you know, he's not in good form, drop him, this, that, the other, right? And it's all true, because as a footballer, and especially in position, I'm not really feeling him that much. Some good performances, yes, but it's not been great. But that said, he's earned a lot more credit in the bank than a lot of these other players, and it's
Let me hurt your memories. Let me hurt your memories a bit. Oh man, remember these days?
Those are the days, bro, man. Like, and even then, they were playing under again. I'm not a big fan of Conte. He won the league for us, fair play and all that, but wasn't a big fan of the football that we played. And even Mourinho was a bit better, but still defensive minded. But we had gunmen up front, bro. Match deciders, players who were clinical, players who could win games on their own, and had that individual brilliance, which is on a different level to what we're seeing now. And essentially, we're relying on Mason Mount to be that decider for us. And again, some decent moments in terms of some like crosses and whatnot, but just not where near good enough for what we're doing. And I think one thing of Mount, and again, it's a positive in general, that I feel like we're going to play 4-3-3 or like maybe the 4-4-2 diamond, right? Which I think Mount suits a bit more, being a bit more connected to the midfield. I think potentially playing as one of the box-to-box roles could suit him more. But like, so when Ruben Loftus-Cheek came off with Chukwuemeka, right, and I think Mount was actually the one that moved to Ruben's position, and Chukwuemeka was a bit further forward. They kind of rotated at times, but it was mainly Mount that dropped a bit deeper. And it isn't the first time we've seen Mount play kind of like as a centre mid, box to box. And he's had some good games against Salzburg. I thought he was really good in the box to box role. But even there were just moments yesterday where like his positioning for a box to box midfielder looks off. Like there's times where he presses into challenges where he doesn't need to. He just needs to hold position a bit more. And it's basically like the decisions of an attacking player, which he's now become. And I'm just kind of worried that maybe he's not going to have the mentality to play that box-to-box role in the future, which is a bit of a worry for me. But again, on yesterday's performance, I'd probably just give him a 3.5, because he was better than the other two. But for him, his level, that was way below his level, bro. Way below his level.
It's painful, and it's becoming painful. And I keep stressing how I do not enjoy watching this Chelsea team. I don't. I really don't. It's big up to Charlotte in the house as well. Nice to see her as well. Happy birthday, Charlotte. That's your birthday today, so big up to you. Happy birthday. AJ, what's happening, bro? See you driving.
What's up, guys? No, I'm not driving. I'm chilling. I'm in the driveway. Oh man, Chelsea just driving me crazy. I thought we had it in the bag, but we couldn't close it off. But I mean, I guess this is what we expected, right? A lot of people called out for a tie. I actually had a good feeling about the game. I thought we would pull it off. When the game started, it wasn't looking good, but we made the change, and I thought we would pull it off, but we couldn't do it. So, it's all good.
What was your thoughts on the forward line? Sterling, Mount, Aubameyang. Like, did you feel that Graham Potter should have maybe looked to sort of change it earlier?
You see, my thing is, I thought going into the game, Pulisic would get a chance to start from the beginning, play from the beginning, because he's had an impact the last 2 games that he's come in. He's clearly improved the way the attack flows once he comes in the game. So I thought he would get that chance from the beginning. And even the Chelsea app and all of that, they just kept posting content with Pulisic. So I'm like, oh, he must be starting. I saw he didn't start. So I was kind of disappointed because Sterling's been cold. Aubameyang, he needs service. So if he's not getting service, it's gonna be tough. So my feelings on the forward line was I didn't want to really see Sterling, and I like when Mount is in the midfield. So I didn't really like it. I think it looked kind of dysfunctional.
Yeah, I hear that. Why do you feel that we looked so bad at the beginning? What do you think was like? Is it because of the lack of no Kovacic in the middle, or what do you think?
To be honest, we were playing with 5 defenders, and I understand that's our main formation, at least over the past couple of years. But against Man U and against when we don't have Reece James or we're missing a key part of that formation, we need to adapt. We should have went with the back 4 and a 3-man midfield. You got to match up, or you got to try and dominate the midfield. With that 5 in the back and then 2 midfielders, and one of them is Jorginho, you're not going to be covering much territory or just being able to compete in the midfield against Casemiro and Eriksen. Those are 2 players who can keep the ball and control the game. And then you have Fernandes, who can, play that killer pass. So we were just getting outnumbered, and Potter, he realized that and he made the change. I'm glad he made the change, but we could have been 2-3 down before he made that change.
Yeah. I agree. And, there's a couple of haters on Graham Potter already across the timelines of Twitter saying that, Potter out and this, that, and the other. And I mean, what was your overall assessment of him? Well, he's not lost a game. Was it 3 draws, 5 wins? I mean, what's your overall assessment of him so far?
To be honest, the first couple games, I like what he's doing. I see where he's playing players more in their position. That was one thing about Tuchel that just kept irking me. I see that we enter the final third a bit more, even though recently, the past 2 games it's been tough, but we do enter the final third and we are, attacking the goal a bit more in more direct ways. But I do think he has been experimenting over the last 3-4 games, and I think he needs to now find his best attackers, find his best midfielders, and his best back 4, and just stick with it until the new year. We can't play back 5 until Reece James is back or until we get a right wing back. So you have to go 4-man defense and 3-man midfield. I think he has to make that change.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. I hear you. Forward, I want to ask you this question on what Hasselbank said yesterday about Mason Mount. Big up to Araf for the comment here. He says, Mount doesn't provide enough chances for the strikers to score. That's why Chelsea aren't getting more goals. He's definitely trying and is young, but can't continue like this for long. What are your thoughts on that comment?
Well, that's Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank speaking from a striker's perspective, and I do get it. Like, if you compare him to our rivals, who we want our rivals to be, which in recent years has been obviously Man City with De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan. He's not at that level in terms of finding the attackers, that's for sure. So in a sense, he is a problem, but he's one of the least problems because we have so many other big problems in the team. So the scapegoat Mount is a bit strange. Obviously, I'm not saying it's wrong for Hasselbank to bring this up. It's valid criticism, but there's just so many other issues in the team. But again, one of the biggest issues in general is our lack of creativity. So yeah, no, it's fair. It's fair. It's fair critique.
Fair criticism for you, AJ, as well. Do you think we obviously we know we lack creativity, but should it be solely Mason Mount that should be looked at with this?
Now, I think Mount is getting he's getting shot at here because he's the one who kind of plays in that 10-ish position, or he's the one who's playing right under the forward. So I agree exactly with what he's saying. You know, we always complain we don't create enough chances for a striker. Whether it was Lukaku, now it's Aubameyang, whether it's whoever, we don't create enough. So, and again, like Forward said, that's a striker, a true striker who knows what he wants as a striker. And he's like, oh, these players are not getting the ball enough. So that means the player who's supposed to be doing that is not doing it consistently enough. So I agree.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I feel that it's a little bit of a shot fired. At the same time, Hasselbank being a forward is going to say it from a forward's perspective. And obviously, for forwards to be successful in the game, there has to be a creativity, even with Hasselbank, But even Hasselbank used to create for himself. I remember goals against Tottenham back in the day where he used to just hit the ball up and cut inside and bang. And, I get it. And I think we can all agree that there's a lack of creativity. I think for me, the lack of balance in the squad, obviously, no Reece James, because how big is Reece James in terms of the creativity element for Chelsea? We saw it again yesterday down that right. Azpilicueta is shocking, isn't he? Trying to create, it's night and day, exactly. We miss so much. These are things that I think Bowley and Potter are probably aware of. I hope they're aware of, and I think it's probably going to hope to be addressed later. And this is why I say when people react about what we're seeing, we can be annoyed about performances of players, but it's just understanding that this system's never going to be at the level we want it to be because of the personnel that are playing it. And that's what I keep telling people. We know what to expect. And that sounds horrible, it's stupid to say, but we should know that we can drop a point to Man United because we can't hold out. We should know that we ain't going to create loads of chances every game for the next 5 games because of the consistency of the players playing in it. We know all this stuff, as fans. It's just frustrating because we want to be up there. We want to be what Man City are doing, right? We want to be that Chelsea that we used to know seeing, and we know that there's profile players out there for it. It's just how effective and how quick are Chelsea going to be in the window to get it done. And I just think we need to give it a bit of time, and that's why you got to look past the managers because we blame Tuchel for it all. We're now just getting little murs from people about Graham Potter, which is stupid because he hasn't even lost a game yet. But still, I get when you look at the performances ain't there yet. What's the plan? Where's the Potter ball? We're not getting the Potter ball. I keep telling people Potter ball's not happening now. We've got to wait, unfortunately. But Hassan, what you saying, bro?
Just a little bit frustrated about yesterday's result. I mean, Potter, I think he set us tactically up well to win that game. I think we completely nullified United. It was just daft individual mistakes that have led to a couple of shots on goal. And I ain't going to lie to you, I'm not going to blame Kepa for that. If Kepa saved that, everyone would have said it was a world-class save. Looking back at that header, you just couldn't do nothing about it. It's just because... I think it's because he's short and everyone wants to jump on the agenda of that he's short. But let's be honest, if it weren't for Kepa's saves yesterday, the game would have been long gone before that Casemiro header. He's made at least a couple of one-on-one saves and stuff like that. The attack, Aubameyang had a couple of chances. I feel like the one that annoyed me the most was when Chilwell put that ball in and he could have headed it, but he used his foot. I feel like he could have just used his head for that, but it's just stupid, daft mistakes from our players that have cost us this game. We could have walked away 3 points here, but it is what it is. Like, there's nothing much to say, and don't get me started on #J5, man. If I speak
Yeah,
on him, I'm in big trouble, bro. All I'm gonna say is this: the wrong midfielder was stripped naked yesterday.
What was the problem with Jorginho specifically for you?
I feel like he was just non-existent. I feel like a lot of because there was that time, Jem. I don't know if you actually saw it during the game. I think it was around 15 minutes where he was there trying to reach the ball, and then the ball went just past him because there was literally passing around him like he wasn't there, and he was just there throwing his arms about. I feel like on the defensive transitions, and you saw it yesterday, our midfield was non-existent. Felt like a Bundesliga team. We felt like a Bundesliga team for the last 2-3 games. We just need I find it funny that Twitter defends our midfielders, where someone like our owner, who's barely experienced in football, has noticed the midfield issue before them. People do stuff for likes and comments and interactions, but let's be honest, a lot of this team needs a revamped. And me and you said it before, Jem, and I've watched your video on the Chelsea channel yesterday, and you said it there. We can't trust these players over long periods of games at elite level to win us games and win us titles. And our Chelsea Football Club, we should be winning trophies, but we haven't been consistent because it's the same goddamn problem for the last 4 or 5 years. I'm just sick and tired of blaming the managers. I could do a league owner and start saying, Potter this, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna hold my tongue on Potter because it's not his fault. When he starts getting his players in, that's when we'll be critical. I feel like that's how it should be.
No, you spoke some facts, mate. Some serious facts, to be honest, as well. Forward, I want to ask you this quickly. When you look at the players that we have at the moment at this squad, is it a thing of that the players are just not good to why the systems ain't working, or is it just that the players that we have got are just not good enough to adapt to the systems that our managers want to play? What is it, do you think? Or
well, I mean, that's an interesting question, and I guess like the best way of answering it would be is if we played a different system that catered to these players, how good would this team be? Like, would the highest potential of this team be enough to, let's say, be comfortably finishing top 4? Maybe if they played a different way of it with a different setup, maybe with a different manager, let's just say, for example. I think there's a higher potential that we're seeing with this team currently, because what we've seen over the last 12 to 18 months has been quite poor, if I'm honest. I know 18 months ago we won the Champions League, I guess, but still, in terms of like just consistency in league positioning and what, like how we're doing in the league, it's not been great. It's not been to the standard that we would like for Chelsea, and I think just in general, the football that we're seeing from these players isn't good enough. I do feel in general a 4-3-3 has always suited this team a lot better. But that said, we do like just certain skill sets. Like again, in the attack, we always talk about creativity. We always talk about somebody who's a natural dribbler that can take the game to players by himself. Obviously, a goal scorer. We've lacked, even though we bought in proven goal scorers. I'm doing that in air quotes, proven goal scorers. They don't necessarily come into this team and score goals. Also, you look at the midfield. I think in general, like I said before, it's fragile. Even Ruben Loftus-Cheek is meant to be our most physical component to our midfield, but he's not naturally like somebody who puts his body about. Like Tuchel, for the longest time, I had to tell him that you need to be more physical. You need to impose yourself more in games, and he's not really that kind of player naturally. And that's our most physical midfielder. Obviously, again, we haven't seen Zakaria, so I'm not really going to factor him in as a physical midfielder because we don't see him on the pitch. But so I think there's many factors. I think like again, we need to add certain profiles to this team to make it better. And I will just say with Potter, while of course it's very early in his reign, so we need to give him time, of course. I feel like he's a very good coach, a very good tactician, and I feel like the test for him more is going to be in year 2, maybe going into year 3. If he survives that long, as can he remotivate these players? Can he get these players on side, and can he continue to keep them inspired by what he's saying? Because is he a manager that really inspires that confidence in these players long term, and can he manage their egos at this level of football? Because we've not seen it before. But while that obviously is something I'm looking at long term, I think in the short term, I will say that he's looking like a coach who didn't watch much of Chelsea before he managed us. I feel like he didn't recognize a lot of the flaws in the team beforehand, and he's come in, he's been like, you know what, I played against you guys a few times, maybe I look at your strengths, So I think, you know what, with the way that I play football, I can get you to be better. And he's gotten us to be a bit better naturally. I think it's going to be a natural new manager bounce. But I think ultimately a lot of the flaws that we've seen the last few months and basically the last year could have been eradicated, or could have certainly been at least improved upon, had he maybe been watching us more closely and recognized that we just need to have more balance in our midfield. Essentially, just play a 4-3-3 and press in certain zones where we can press and be more effective. And again, when we're doing that pressing, now you have to look at our midfield balance. And can you have Jorginho be the anchor for midfield if you want to be a pressing team while having 4 at the back? If it's not the case, then we have to switch it up and play something different. So, yeah, I look at Potter and like there's a lot of work that he needs to do. A lot of work that he needs to do. And I'm hoping that, again, my biggest positive, my biggest takeaway from yesterday is that at least he recognized 30 minutes into that game, we were getting dominated and he needed the 3-man midfield. And I'm hoping going forward, he looks at our fullbacks and says, you know what, our fullbacks suit playing as left and right back. We don't need to play with wing backs. Our midfield hasn't got the tools to play as a pivot. So we need a 3-man midfield, 1 at the base, 2 box to box. And I think going forward, if we do that, I think we should be able to get top 4, given our squad depth, given, again, the failures of teams like Liverpool with their injuries and they just look out of sorts. United, they haven't got great depth. If we're honest, look at their bench yesterday; it was poor. And I think Tottenham just aren't a good football team. They have game winners. They have a great manager. Well, he obviously done great things for our club, but I also think he's tactically quite one-dimensional. So I think it's good for us to get out of a 4th spot, if I'm honest. So let's see what Potter does, man.
Yeah, it's good. Some good points, bro. Some real good points there, to be honest. What we saying, OG? I ain't spoke to you, man. What
Oh, man, I was pissed, man. Thank gosh I didn't watch along yesterday, bro. I'd have been fuming, man. People are telling me stuff like...
Yeah, tell us about yesterday's game. How did you feel about it? The setup, Graham Potter's tactics, everything like that.
Yeah, no, I felt that decision was pre-made. He said to Kukurin and Chilwell, look, if we're not dominating using this tactic formation in the beginning, I'm going to make the change fairly quickly. So they, I don't think they had, they weren't sour towards the manager. They knew one of them was going to come off because of how things were going to go going. I knew we weren't going to lose. I'm not a superstitious guy, but I knew Sterling's not going to score in his 24th game against them, and I knew Trevor Chalobah was going to stay undefeated. But undefeated doesn't mean you're going to win. It means you're going to draw all your wins. You know what I'm saying? Just like I don't rate the Invincibles of all their draws. I'm not really looking for a draw. But that was the worst case scenario, man. I didn't like J5 the whole game. I was ripping him. Scores the penalty, which for me doesn't matter because anyone could score a penalty. I could score the penalty. I can't rep J5 for scoring a penalty. That's the reality of things. Anyone can have scored that. Even Sterling. Okay, other than Sterling, anyone would have scored that. But I thought we won it, I actually jumped onto another stream. I was doing the stream with Lee Gunner and Ola, doing this like UFC fight stream. And it's like the 93rd minute. I've jumped on their stream. I'm thinking, yeah, we just won, lads, da-da-da. And then I see on my little phone, I get ding, Casemiro. There. I'm like, what? Are you serious? And it's so predictable, man. It's so predictable. I tweeted on one or two other watch-alongs on Chelsea Fan TV. A few of my friends, they put on those the bets to draw. And one of them was livid that he didn't cash out. He's like, oh, I wish I cashed out on the 70th minute. I said, haha, that. And it came back. It's a draw anyway. It's so predictable. It almost angers me. The most drawn game in history. So I just don't want any Chelsea fan to be disappointed. If you walked into this knowing it's going to be a draw, you shouldn't be that disappointed. But the fact that we stole the game, we had it in our hands till the very last extra time, that really got to me. I got under my skin, man. Especially the way I found out I was embarrassed on live TV, bro. Lee Gunner was well.
What was more embarrassing is that Chilwell got beaten in the air by Casemiro. I just found out a bit.
But anyway. I wish Cucurella stayed on what? Man,
it is what it is, isn't it? Unfortunately, 2 draws. Like I said, if we beat Man United and then we draw a Brentford, that's a good 2 games. I'll take that. But to draw 2 games and 2 points, there's a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth. I know people say, but we didn't lose and we move and whatever. But 6 points, we've got 2 points out of 6. I just want us to always be there. But then in my head, I'm thinking to myself, well, I know where this team is. So why am I thinking that? Because they do this. So it's like, I think it's just understanding that, But I mean, what was your thoughts on Sterling and Mount? I mean, they didn't really.
Look, as I said, I knew Sterling wasn't going to score. Like, even the way he played traumatized. He had 2 chances where he could have went for goal, and he didn't. He tried something. He tried control. He tried pass it across the. Like, bro, Sterling should be going for goal at the moment, trying to break this duck. Now it's just 24 games with no goals and like 1,800 minutes or some craziness like that. So I don't know why he rolled like that. And Mount tried. I'm not gonna, poo all over him. He didn't have the best games, but not really. Who did? Honestly, the only time I was happy was when Kova came on. Kova brings something on that's not only there on the play, it's mental as well. What he brings on just brings a calmness. Everyone, you just know we're not going to concede or be defensively mocked. When I saw Eriksen just having space and time, I was like, oh my days, this guy that every other team closes down quickly and makes look old most of the time. He beat us. Like, I was disappointed about that, man. But as I said, bro, I foresaw a draw, which I'm sure most of you did. But I can imagine you watching it in the pub, you're 1-0 up after the penalty, but we've won the game, laughing in our rivals' fans, typing all these texts, looking to fall online, and then they get one in that extra time, bro,
Sucks, isn't it? It's what it is. It is what it is. AJ's gone anyway. I think he said he's gone. Big up to AJ. We got Chelsea down here as well. What are you saying, Chelsea?
Big up, brother Dan.
Yeah. Big up OG, my brother, man. Big up to GNTV, man. Go on.
Big up.
I was at the game yesterday, man. What a flipping shocking performance, isn't it?
Yeah. What do you think? What was your thoughts on it overall?
We need to get rid of a few players, GNT, man. Conor Gallagher needs to go. Aspie, he needs to go now. He ain't good. He ain't good at right back. His legs. He had a good game, yeah. But come on, first half, man, that was all over us, man. We should have lost that game. I don't know why Potter, subbed off Raheem Aubameyang. He should have kept Aubameyang on, but decides to keep Sterling on the thing where he never showed up. The boy's a fraud. Sterling is a fraud. He should not be at Chelsea. Should not be at Chelsea. GN, I tell you, I'm with you. Chelsea's not the same what it used to be like, mate. This ain't football at Chelsea. It's not. Havertz, don't get me wrong, Havertz needs to start showing is a world class player. Mason Mount, I say he did well, but he didn't really do a lot. There was a lot of chances he could put the ball into Aubameyang. Ben Chilwell, this is what I'm going to say now, DNT, right? I hope you guys agree to me. I've always said along on OG show, every single show, sorry my French, right? What the fuck is Cucurella and Ben Chilwell playing as left centre back together? The system of them two do not work. What is Potter thinking? You see Cucurella pushing Chilwell, thinks he's like playing a left wing back. He's not a left. This guy's not a left centre back at all. Cucurella, man. If he gets a choice to be, we need a new centre back, because I heard Koulibaly's now injured. He might be out for 4 weeks, right?
Is it?
Yeah, it might be out for 4 weeks. Yeah.
Who said that? I haven't seen that yet. Is that even true?
Potter's had press conferences, but on Twitter there's a thing. I don't know. I think his name's Ben something. Jacobs put up on a thing saying that Koulibaly could be out for 4 weeks.
I didn't know that. I never know.
Yeah.
Right.
So, teams are shambles. Yeah, our teams are shambles, mate. We need the replacement for Reece James, for the right wing back. If we don't get that in January, but I'm just gonna say, Chelsea, I love you all the way, but this ain't a team that is showing their ability, their style of play, that they're good enough.
Why can I ask you why you come for Conor Gallagher? He didn't even play yesterday. Why should he leave? What's he done?
Conor Gallagher didn't play yesterday. I'm glad he didn't, because the guy's useless.
Why? What's he done?
For start, right? AC Milan game, When he took a shot, it looked like a bloody kid shot. When he could have scored the goal to make it 3-0. When he kicked it, it was a soft touch. Conor Gallagher is. Conor Gallagher's not right for us. I'm telling you, he can't play centre mid. He ain't good at attacking. Everyone's saying that Conor Gallagher's better than Mason Mount, and I just totally disagree on that. Mason Mount's much better than Conor Gallagher. If this guy proper,
But my only question
yeah,
to that is, shouldn't you give him time?
Yeah,
Exactly.
we gave loads of players time at Chelsea. Look at Billy Gilmour. He was the best.
No disrespect, but we gave Reece James time. Remember that time where we get frustrated with him when he was just whipping in the same type of crosses. Mr. Mahad games where he did absolute nothing at the start. But these players, they grow into it. The more minutes you give them, the more time they actually develop. Like I could see Conor Gallagher's flaws, but I'm still waiting because I want to give him at least a season, rotating in and out. And giving him a
Yeah, I know
chance.
what you're saying, bro. But we've gave so many players time at Chelsea and haven't adapt. Look at the guy who we Finn Jinkle. He was really good at centre mid. We loaned him out. Yeah, never even. And then since that, when we loaned him out, he was class. He played class when he was loaned out. Never even got a chance to play in the Chelsea team. We've bought players. We've bought players, yeah, before and never gave the chance. Conor Gallagher, yeah, I want to see him do it day in and day out. Where he did at Crystal Palace, right?
yeah, but he's not playing though, is he? He's only playing. He's only coming off the bench at the moment when he is playing.
But he had his first game at Brentford, didn't he? And then after that, he was ill. Wolverhampton's game, he was playing first.
He got injured against Brentford, basically, though. In 27th minute, he came
Yeah,
off.
but
So.
he had a cold. He had a cold. He wasn't injured.
What about his game winner at Crystal Palace?
That goal, yeah. Anyone, it was like basically like a fluke. Like people say it's a fluke shot. Yeah, it was a stunning goal.
Come on, man.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
But that goal, yeah. But look, what about the other the first start of the season where he made mistakes?
Yeah, but he played as a six. He's not a six. He's not a six. He was put in a sixth position.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, bro. I know what you're saying. Yeah, but it was not a six. Kai Havertz is not a number 9. We forced him to play as a striker. He's number 10, number 8. But we don't play that position. What is not a 6 in our position? We don't play the formation of the number 6 or number 10 or number 8. We can't.
We do have the 10 option, but it's just I know what you mean. Specifically, we have to like play a specific way to accommodate it. I get that, but Conor Gallagher's not a 6. Conor Gallagher's an 8 all day, and I think Graham Potter, since he's come in, has actually utilised him to what I think is probably the best way for him, which is further up the pitch. Personally, I just think with Conor Gallagher, it's very harsh to be saying he's shit. Get rid of him now. I just feel we need to see, from my perspective, I think I need to see more game time of him at Chelsea before we start criticising him. Yeah, that's my opinion.
I'm not saying get rid of him. I'm not saying get rid of him.
Big up Jim. Big up everyone. Big up everyone in the chat. Big up everyone in the panel. Listen, I've been saying it for a long time. We need something in the midfield. We need creativity in the midfield, and we haven't got that at this current stage. With Kante gone, injuries all the time here and there, it doesn't help us. Now, in certain games, if you analyze it, against tough oppositions, we came against Brentford, we came against AC Milan. Now, if you look at the difference at them performances, we analysed to play great against AC Milan, but when we came against Brentford, it was different. You know why? Because Brentford came against on the ball, 11 man on the ball, defensively, right? We wasn't attacking enough against Brentford. Now, yesterday's game, was it a difference? Did you see a difference? No, same outcome. Why is that? Because there's no creativity. If we get creativity, you will see a difference in this side. 100%.
I agree. No, you're spitting, mate. I actually agree with you. I've always said the creativity is one of the biggest issues at our football club. Creativity from the deeper line, but also creativity from the forward line. And going on to that, obviously, there's mentions of Rafael Leao, Jonathan David, Ivan Toney. These are players are sort of being linked before Cristiano Ronaldo. Apparently, I didn't know why this Cristiano Ronaldo thing's bollocks.
Even in the attack, we're still having the same issues. Now, Mason Mount is not a winger. Anybody in this chat thinks that Mason Mount is a winger, think again. He's a cam. He's a number 10. Now we can't play with a number 10 because there's reasons why we can't play with a number 10 because Potter has analysed to play his type of play, and is it a thing where these players can't play in the Potter way? That's the question.
Yeah, that is the question, and what you said is right. And I keep saying this: it doesn't matter from Thomas Tuchel to Graham Potter, with the crop of players that go back to Maurizio Sarri. Yeah, you're not if. They can play it to a certain level, but my biggest question mark with these guys is how consistent can they play it? And this is why we will never be successful in the Premier League, because these guys that we're asking to play in specific positions in specific systems are just not it for me in specific roles. Not all of them. I just think we're very unbalanced in certain areas, and a big one is the midfield. The midfield is something that has to be addressed. The creativity from the forward line, having a dribbler, direct dribbler, a bit like Eden Hazard, that takes the ball and runs and commits players. Yep. Because all we have at the moment with the forward line is a bunch of forwards that all want to do little 1-2s and then run in behind. None of them have got the ability. They do, Pulisic and Sterling, but they don't do it enough. Have the ability to get the ball and run and create space and attract players towards them. We need someone of that creative mold. We need different ways of creating. We can't just have Reece James. We need Reece James. We need a deep line midfield creator. We need a Rafael Leao type of player that can dribble and take different types of creating. You'll then start seeing better consistency from the system, and it will make Potter's system work better because then you have players that can do things, consistently. At the moment, we don't have that. We got bullied. We had Ashley trying to cross.
Jem, do you believe when we was winning? Do you believe that Roman Abraham in the old era? Yeah, let's talk about the old era. I feel that if in the old era, even though we was winning, when we was winning, we should have improved. Even though when we was winning, we should upgrade when we was winning. That's my downfall on the old regime.
The old regime didn't upgrade, and that was always the issue, because if you look at when Conte and Mourinho were successful in the second seasons when they asked for ammunition, and I read this massive thread on Twitter about this actually, and it said clearly that basically because the board had spent X amount in the first season giving them what they needed to enhance their systems, which worked because we were successful, going into the next season they wanted more, but the more wasn't given. They were given 1 or 2 players that's in the window, but it wasn't enough, and their fall off then was apparent. And that was the reason why we never dominated in long succession. So like back to back. Do you know what I mean? Like Man United did in a run under Fergie. We won back to back under Mourinho, and we've done it. We've done it before. That works. But if you want to dominate in the long run, you've got to keep improving that squad. And that's the thing. You've got to have squad depth. You've got to keep improving it, and you've got to have so many different types of creators, along with the balance in terms of the midfield and defense, to be able to be this big team that we want to be. And we're nowhere near that. Yeah. We're not near it. I'm telling you now.
We need extra, fam. We get so many injuries. Like right now, they're saying Kovacic stripped down because he was like, I'm not going to be playing for a while. And Koulibaly up to 1 week, up to 4 weeks. They didn't even want to release. With all the other injuries we've got and the injuries we're going to get, and I know the World Cup's probably going to F us over more than Arsenal and all these other teams. It's almost like there's a juju or a voodoo on us. Like, why are we always getting these mad injuries all the time? It's crazy. It's been like 3 seasons of injury FC. I always get tweeted that you guys are injury FC. I'm like, wow, I thought this was gone. 3 weeks ago, there was no injuries, 0. We had Kante coming back in 1 week. Now we've got Fofana, Kante, Reece James, Kulu's going to join it. Kovacic apparently missing next game or 2. Stripping now naked, like goodbye. Like, I don't know. So we need Man City's depth and another 6 man because we got to predict we're going to get injuries. Crazy.
We don't move. Let me ask you a lot of questions. Do we move the ball quick enough? Yes or no?
No. Hell no.
I'll go ask a quick question. Oh, Jen, right, bro? Name me one player, because I had a massive argument with another Chelsea player yesterday, yeah? He says there's a player who might score at least 30 to 35 goals this season at Chelsea. Can you please name me one player in our because we had.
Did you speak to Johnny Minerals and you tell you Mason Mount's going to score 30 to 35?
I don't know. Yeah, but OG, I don't know Johnny Minerals. You lot do. I would love to speak to Johnny Minerals.
Never seen him. You go to the game all the time. You're always there.
Yeah, but he's in the other side of the stand. I was on the east stand, like the west stand.
I was in the east. I was in the west lower yesterday. I was there as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. I was in the west lower. I was in the west lower stand yesterday.
Yeah.
And
I went Frankie's. Jem. I went Frankie's.
Did ya?
I
was there with Dammy and that. I was
going to come to Frankie's afterwards to come and see you, but I had to get out of the Stamford Bridge. I had to, because I live up north now, so I had to get from Stamford Bridge. Yeah, go pick up my son from my nan's. Yeah, because he spent time with my nan because it's his first time in London. He wanted to come to the Chelsea game, but I will take him when he's a bit older. And he stayed at my nan's for a bit. And then after I went back to my nan's. Then we had to drive home. We didn't get back till about 10:15, 11 o'clock at night from London straight to up north. But the thing is, like, I was saying to this guy after the game, because even my cousin was having a go, and he was saying, like, there's two guys could score them kind of goals this season, like the Raheem Sterling and Aubameyang and Kai Havertz. And I said to this guy, "Are you mad? What are you watching a different football? What I'm watching? Because for me, this team got no fighting spirit. They look like they're shit. Fair enough, Potter's done a good job. Good job since he's played, kept 2 clean sheets for Chelsea, right? And he hasn't lost a game against Chelsea yet. But it will come. And last night we had all the Man United.
Aubameyang and Sterling. Those are two like potentially potent players. Like we have to like find a way to unlock these players.
Creating. We have no creativity.
We have pieces. You know, we got to find a way to put it together. And I think another problem that we have is we play with this handbrake. Like this at Chelsea, like over the past years, you know, it's like every time we go into a big game, it's like we're reactionary. We're playing 5 at the back. We're gonna defense first. Like, I want to like go for it, you know.
And we worry what's coming back at us as well. That's my reaction on things as well. Because I think that go on.
When Potter put Kova on yesterday, you know, and we instantly took control of the game. We finished out the first half on top of the game.
What do we do though, really, with it? That's my problem. You know, it's like we always control games, but what do we get from it? Like, where's the forward line? Where's the creativity? You know, it was nothing. 6 shots the whole game.
We don't play again. I don't like Mason Mount. Deals came on here and said, "Oh, Mason Mount is a 10," and I agree. Mason Mount is a 10/8. I would more put him as an 8 because I don't think he has that final pass consistently, and he doesn't have that. Just, you know, he's not there yet. But as an 8, he's a good option as an 8 because he can still get you the goal. So we still need a true number 10 to really unlock Sterling and Aubameyang and just consistently get these guys running in channels. Sterling wants the ball, get it going into channels. Aubameyang wants the ball in channels. We never turn the defense around.
That comes from the deep line, though, doesn't it? Again, this is what I'm saying. We don't have when Jorginho plays in that team, we don't get that. When Kovacic plays in that team, he can do it, but he's just not.
He doesn't.
Not consistently at doing it. Yeah,
exactly.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek is insane. Yeah, I mean,
Kovacic is in form for me. Kovacic in form for. But when you saw Mason Mount playing in that middle, the last game at the end, right? He played good there. And he got the goal. So why didn't we play him there instead of the left wing? Because he ain't a left wing.
I think like yesterday proved that going forward we have to play a back 4. We have to play a back 4.
But we can't play that. We can't play that.
We can. I don't want to hear that we can't play it. We played it yesterday for like 70
minutes. We can play a back 4.
You know,
it's just that
we can and we can't. We can and we can't.
It's professional players. It's top level players. They do this. It stretches Thiago. I agree. It stretches Thiago and it stretches Jorginho. That's the main problem. But we have Chalobah who has elevated himself. Look at him. He's right now our best defender. To me, he's performing better than Thiago.
Yeah.
That's a good back two right there. Or I know Koulibaly, he comes from back 4. That's where he thrives. You know, he can play in a back 4. Him and Chalobah. We need to work with that. We have a right back in Azpilicueta. We have 2 left backs. We have to just rock with the back 4, and we have a solid midfield. They're not the best midfield. We need to replace them.
You never, AJ, you're never going to get. I get the back 4 thing, back 3, back 4. I look past the formations, to be honest. My thing is not the back 4, the back 3. My thing is the players playing in it, just not being consistent with it, because they can play the back 4 very well, like they did against Man United in the second half, or at the end of the first half. But it's how much better is it?
But the
thing
is,
that's my thing
with the back 4 is it gets us further up the field, because you see when we play with the back 5, it's because of the personnel. Again, that's why it matters in this team, because the personnel itself. When we play in the back 5, we're like 15, 20 yards further back compared to when we play in the back 4, and we're under consistent pressure. Yesterday, we played the back 4, and we more matched the game. We need to start with that, and then we can work on our forward play and our interplay and all of that. But if we keep starting with back 5 and then we have to react to now changing it, we're not going to move forward. We have to.
Yeah, but AJ, my brother, you're saying about this, but Porter's not going to be playing that formation. He looks like he wants to be at the back.
Jem, what's your thoughts on Chukwuemeka?
We're gonna see.
It's not much really to say other than that he's came in, he's done a good job here and there. He deserves some more minutes, and we'll just see. I think it's still early doors with him, but he offers something, He's got something about him, but it's definitely worth watching. I want to hear what Blue Ice has to say. I was meant to finish now because it's over 2 hours, but Blue Ice decides to come in on 2 hours, and I've been sitting here now.
How you doing,
brother? Not bad, man. How you been?
I'm good. Yo, man. Listen, is it the result or is it the performance that is the pain here? For me, it's the result. With that shitty performance.
Happy with the performance?
Sorry?
Was you happy with the performance?
No, but I don't mind grinding out results. And even if you look way back in the day, we used to grind out ugly results, and that was what made us. That was what made the team at the time. Yeah. And yesterday, I bet you if we won that game 1-0, I'm curious to know what fans would have been talking about today. So again, what you guys are saying are all spot on in regards to the weaknesses of the team. But if you can't win, don't lose. Don't lose. And that's what we've been able to do. So I'm going to hang my hat on that. And I'm not trying to be Mr. Positivity here, but not starting Kovacic, even though I'm not a Kovacic fan, in yesterday's game was the first attempt at shooting ourselves in the foot. And I'm glad he reacted really fast by bringing him in, but because with Kovacic, at least we would have been able to break that press early, so that Jorginho can cook, so that our midfielders can cook. But man, Sterling, man.
I already spoke about him. I know.
Man, Sterling. I was rooting and screaming for Sterling to join us, but I'm not sure what's going on, man. Maybe you guys can help me understand what
he's a fraud. He's a fraud. He's a fraud.
He's not a fraud. He's not a fraud. He's not a fraud. Don't say that. 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 You can't say that, Dan. You can't say that.
I know both deals, but deals. Come on, what did Sterling actually do for us yesterday? Did what? The ball he could have shot.
Yes, he's not in form at the moment. Yes, he's not in form at the moment. But when he brings it back, you won't be saying that. When he brings it back, you won't be saying that.
But deals.
I think what people need to understand with Raheem Sterling is what I always say to people. I think he's a good signing for Chelsea. When he was signed for Chelsea, I actually thought he was a good signing.
Yeah.
The issue is he's not enough. And I kept saying that. He was well not enough. So, and I told people when we signed him, I said this, be ready for Raheem Sterling to struggle to click in this forward line. Be ready for these moments because it's going to happen. However, where he may struggle to get, to mix with the system and the balance, we know that there's problems in other departments and whatever. His own individual performances still can be better in terms of what he's doing, right? And how he puts himself out on the pitch. And yesterday, when he was given the ball in certain moments, he was wasteful. He was not good with the ball, and that for me is where it's not good. I know what all the other problems are with him because I don't, you know, I knew this was going to happen a little bit in terms of starving him in terms of creativity, not really being able to get him involved in games, him maybe disappearing in moments and whatever. But in terms of his own individual performances, I always still expect them to be up there because he is a good forward compared to some of the ones that are sitting on our bench. I'll be honest with you now.
No, he is. He is. And then Mason Mount, man. The best advice I can give Mason Mount as a fan is put yourself in spots where you can exploit that half turn. That half turn that Mason Mount has is an ankle breaker if you want to talk about basketball. That's where he burns you. But for some reason, he's not able to put himself in those risky positions like he did 2 seasons ago. So right now, Mason Mount is on this purple patch run. 1 good game here and 1 good game there. And that's what scares me. I need consistency from Mason Mount. Because a game like yesterday needed Mount to carry the water for us. We needed a water carrier up front.
But you're asking for Eden Hazard consistency players now, and I'm telling you now, none of them can do that in this team.
None of them can't. None of them can't do what Hazard done.
Hazard is a different level.
That's too heavy. Exactly. That's too heavy. You don't want to put that kind of stress. Hazard didn't practice and came to the game and put on 150%.
Yeah,
he did.
So exactly. So you can't really. But for Mason Mount, man, he needs to be consistent. If not, he's going to fade into the abyss yet again.
Yep, he's right.
This is what scares me with Mason Mount, man. I was screaming his name the game against Aston Villa, and then he goes missing again 2 games in a row. Why?
Yep.
Somebody please help me. Why? Because we need this kid. We need Mason Mount to take us to the promised land.
Yes. He had, like, it's been given to him. He's the one who's supposed to do it. And yesterday is the perfect type of game where you're supposed to do that.
Yeah.
You know? And he didn't do it. And I believe in Mason Mount because he has the skill set. It's there. He has the mentality as well. But he doesn't have the consistency. He doesn't have the thirst to just want to do it every single game. Like it's not there yet, you know.
Do you know what Mount is? And I know it's going to sound horrible when I say it because I do like Mount. It's not a horrible thing. He's a jack of all trades, but he's not the master of nothing.
Exactly.
Like in terms of like he's very good at doing everything. He's just not a master at doing that one real good thing. Like, he can just. Does that make sense? He's not.
You know why, Jem? That's a very good observation, Jem. You know why? You know why Mount is like that? Is because he did everything he could to get a shirt. So I give him respect for that. It's like whatever you can do to get a shirt and get in the team, I respect that. Now, how do you kick on from there? And now we're waiting for Mount to do that for it. Look at Phil Foden. Look at Phil Foden.
But the difference, no. The difference between Foden and Mount, the difference between Mount and Foden, they're not in the same position. They don't play the same position.
No, I'm talking about attitude.
But if people wanna start comparing Mason Mount to Foden, it's 2 different things.
Let me help you. No. What I'm saying is I'm not talking about whether they play in the same positions. I'm talking about impact. I'm talking about application. I'm talking about how you apply yourself. Look, if you look at Phil Foden the past 2 seasons, he was kind of, he was almost surplus to requirements, but he's stuck in there.
Yeah, but blue eyes. Can I ask you a question quick?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Is Phil Foden a 10 or an 8?
Phil Foden? No,
he's none of them. He's a winger.
No, in terms of position or in terms of
he plays as a wing, yeah.
For
Man City.
He's both
right,
of them.
And Mason Mount is a 10 and an 8. So you can't compare Foden to Mason Mount.
No, but you're missing the point, brother. You're missing the point, brother. I'm not comparing them. I'm talking about how you apply yourself in a game. Your swag. Let me go to the streets. Your swag. How do you stay in a game? Are you the first name on the list, or does the coach have to think twice? That's what I'm talking about. Phil Foden has figured out a way to make himself a mainstay for City. True or false?
No. I'm saying what you're saying, Blue Eyes. Exactly. It's true.
No,
it is true. It is true.
That's what I'm saying.
We haven't got that in our system in a chart. we don't play the same system what Pep plays.
No, I'm not talking about system though.
You're
But I
thinking
hear you.
about
But
too many
it's
stuff.
just Blue Eyes. It is just system.
Foden would have the
what
same
Pep
problems
does.
at Chelsea, though. Foden would have the same
Good point,
issues at
Good
Chelsea.
point. Good point.
Mm.
Good point. Yeah.
Listen, there's many things that need to be sorted
Yeah,
in this
so
team.
many
We all
things.
know it. I've said it. Deep line midfielders needed sorted. More creativity, not only just from the wing backs, but also from a forward line. Players that can actually dribble is a different type of creating. A deep line midfielder that can progress forward and be quick and with his passes, creative. Wing backs that are consistently creative on both sides. We know Reece James does it. I don't think Ben Chilwell's been consistent at this season enough, from my opinion. We need it from both sides. There's a lot of things that I think we still kind of need in this team for it to actually tick consistently. At the end of the day, I think we all need to understand where this team is right now. And unfortunately, we're going to continue to have games like we had yesterday. Unfortunately, it's just going to happen. And I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
I'm just ready for it.
Let me say
Jem,
one
can I ask you
last
a
thing.
question?
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, Jem, can I ask you a quick question? Do you think Cucurella was a good signing for Chelsea?
Of course.
Yes. Yes.
Why do you think he? Because he ain't hardly shown his ability what he's doing at Chelsea.
But he did at the beginning. He did at the beginning.
I know
and
He did. Did you see the link up play he done at Leicester? Did you see that? Did you see that, Dan?
That was deals. That's good. But why can we not? If that's the case, why can we not Potter put the system where Raheem Sterling? Because where you play Raheem Sterling as a left wing, not a left wing back, not a striker, he plays better there. Why don't we have Cucurella instead of Chilwell as the left wing back? Because it seems the system where you play Cucurella at left centre back and then Cucurella and Chilwell at left wing back, them two don't adapt well together. They're pussy.
Yeah, but it goes back to options, doesn't it? Because when Koulibaly's not available, who have we got left to play in them positions, right? And I actually think Cucurella might be better.
Aspie could be a centre back, and then put Ruben Loftus-Cheek at left wing back.
I wouldn't want to see
No. Left wing back? Are you mad? Are you mad? Ruben Loftus-Cheek, left wing back? Are you mad?
Listen, Cucurella is a good left back and he's a good left wing back. He's shown already that he's
option, he's versatile.
Quality. He's just not in a good patch, and on top of that, we have injuries right now. So he's
not in a good patch. He's not in a good patch. You're right, AJ, what you're saying. But also, this team's not really in a... When's the last time we played well as a team? Come on, think about it. When's the last game?
AC Milan, maybe the first game.
But Jem, the question is, right, are we looking for playing well, or are we looking at grinding results? Like, what's the story? What story are we trying to tell in a Renaissance season when we're coming off a very terrible whatever story the past 4 months, and we're coming into our own gradually? We don't even know what the final team would look like. We have World Cup coming up, and we haven't lost.
Yeah,
we haven't. We haven't
lost, and
we haven't. However, why I agree.
Don't get me wrong, we're not settling for complacency here, but we're grinding out results, and we couldn't do this last season or the season before.
Draws are okay to a degree, but too many draws are a problem for me.
True.
That's the problem with it. Yeah, because like we saw with Thomas Tuchel last year, he draws a lot of games. I mean, if you looked at his 38 games, I can't remember. Let's have a look actually, but I'm pretty sure we had like we had so many draws last season, and it was one of the real key issues as to why we dropped so many points and was slacking behind the top. You know, because we were just drawing
12 draws. We had 12 draws last season.
Yeah, out of 38 games, that's nearly what? That's nearly over a quarter.
We lost half those points. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
When we was top number one, Jem, when we was top number one for the last 3 seasons at number one, when we got injury problems, we started drawing and then we started dropping points.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I agree. Look, having the grit and not playing well every game is going to happen. And to still win games like Man City do, where they're shit for 90 minutes, but they win 1-2-0, you know, is great. You have that because you need that to be title challengers, right? We need that.
That's right.
Right. But when you don't have, like we have at the moment, a current flow, a system that we can all sit and understand and go, right, we know how we're going to play. And when we play well, it's going to look really good. We don't have that, do we? Let's be serious at the moment. We just play, and then we don't know who's going to score on the day, but it might be a 1 or 2 goal, but we won't play any real sexy football. It won't be attractive to watch. It'll just be, you know, we'll play and we'll win. Like with the Milan game, the 2 Milan games, right? We played well, didn't we? But they were both different, wasn't they? Because the Milan game at home, we kind of sat back a bit at the beginning, and then we took the pressure, and then we flourished later on, didn't we? We played a bit of counter and we won the game. The away game, all right, they went down to 10 men, but we dominated it, didn't we? We were, you know, from 90 minutes, we looked in control. You know, we was on it, we was pressuring them, so we can win in different ways. I just don't really know. Like, you know, when you look at Man City, they have a philosophy, right? Their system, you know how they play and how they win. I just don't think we have that yet, just because of the consistency of the players we have. I think they lack that. So I don't mind losing. I mean, I don't mind winning games where we just scrape it like we did at Aston Villa. But at the same time, I want us to have some sort of set that we can see and go, right, that's Chelsea. That's
okay, but Jem, then another question is, what sort of timelines does it take typically in English football to get flow within a new team?
It depends on the crop of players you have and the squad that you inherit. And
if you get let's say you get all the best players, you think would be cooking by now?
With the good manager, probably around 2 years.
Yeah, I think we would.
No, I mean by now. Like if we had a good crop of players by now, let's say that came in.
No, take about 2 windows,
exactly,
2 proper windows.
Exactly. So does it mean we're on the right curve?
Yeah, but then that's fine. But this is the thing. We've never seen that, because every season under Roman era, up to Thomas Tuchel, we get to the second season, we dump them. So we don't know that.
But the thing is, though, Blue Eyes, what you're saying is true. But the thing is, though, our squad's deteriorated to the point where it's probably going to take longer than 2 windows, which is why Bowley wants to invest in the summer as well as January.
That's why I'm so stressed, because I want a manager that is given that time to implement his system, but we don't do that. Look what we did to Thomas Tuchel. You know, you gave him all them players for what? What's the fucking point? You should have got rid of him in the summer.
Exactly.
Just get rid of him in the summer and got Potter in.
You're honest truth, bro. You're right. And you know, we got Salzburg this Wednesday in the Champions League, and I'm worried. We can't have a draw out of this, and we can't lose. We need to win to qualify for the next round. Yeah. And the way we're playing for the system against Brentford and against Man United yesterday, I'm afraid that I think we're going to lose that game. And like with Thomas Tuchel, like you said, we didn't give the guy much chance because he could have turned this around this season, but we'll never know. We'll never know.
And this is what worries me with Potter. I mean, I don't think we will, because I think the idea with Bowley is to actually be different and try and back managers. But if he has the same form which he is going to have, like Tuchel had with Chelsea, and I think he's going to have it. I think you're going to see dips and ups, and he's not playing well. We're not really playing well now. You know, like already. Do you know what I mean? Under a bit 7 games, but he hasn't lost. So we're going to have this. It's just are the owners going to be patient to go, well, we know where we're at with this. It's the same stuff. Identify that we are missing players for it, but also identifying that some of the players we have are just not good enough. If they can do all that and give time to him, I'm happy for that. I will sit back and take these draws and losses and wins as we go along this season. I know that we're trying to do something here.
Jem, do you reckon we got the second best depth in the Premier League?
I think we got numbers, like in terms of numbers, yes. In terms of quality, I don't know. I'm not too sure.
No, it's funny how not quality, but we got the numbers. Yeah.
It's funny how no one is talking about. Oh, you got to go. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish off no, lastly, I just want to say it's funny how no one is talking about the tactical masterclass that Ten Hag came to the bridge with, man. Ten Hag was a bad man yesterday.
No. Before you go, don't say that. Don't say that. Ten Hag was a bad man. Because listen, Man United was there for the taking. They was there for the taking. Listen, if we had better in midfield, they was there for the taking. Trust me.
Ten Hag was cold as ice, guys. When you see the truth, you say the truth. Ten Hag came there.
You're in a Man United shirt.
He came there to play. He came there to play chess. We were playing checkers.
Big up Prime. Big up Prime.
Big up Prime.
I'm about to go. And you've come in 2 hours and 23 minutes. I'm literally about to shut off.
Yeah, question for you guys. Quick question for you guys. Yeah. What do you think Todd Bowley's trying to do at Chelsea? Because he's having a talk when he first bought the Chelsea. He's trying to say he's going to try and beat Chelsea.
Trying to get a new stadium with new naming rights. London Cowboys, here we come, boys. That's what we're going to do.
I think we start wearing a cowboy hat. Yeah, we should start wearing a cowboy hat for long.
Bowley's trying to make us like Man City, the best football club in the world.
Oh,
Man City are a footballing institution.
Are you confident in that, Brian?
in that he can do that. So long as he surrounds himself with actual footballing minds, then sure.
Yeah,
How is
as
Man
long as
City
he
a
can.
footballing
Obviously, I have question marks on Bowley. I'm not going to trust everything he says, but so long as he does the
but
right
how is
thing.
Man City a footballing institution? I want to know.
Because they've got franchises, they've got feeder clubs as well as drawing networks.
From top to bottom, the way they're being ran, like it's a footballing institution. Phenomenal.
Really? Wow.
Well, let's not do this now because this is going to take about half hour to go through. We're talking about this, but I want to ask Prime real quickly. Yesterday, Prime performance yesterday overall. Tell me, like, how do you feel about the overall game?
It was an okay performance from both sides. Tactical, I guess, but it's just like it's just frustrating that we take the lead and we can't even cling on. Like it's stuff we've kind of been doing all season, conceding from set pieces. My frustration isn't really with Potter, or it's not with Potter at all, actually. But it's just, again, with these players, I keep saying that this squad needs to be gutted. We need to burn it to the ground and start again. Like this squad is so bad. So and you have Chelsea fans who want to do player stands for these guys. These guys are not good. These guys are not good.
All I'm going to say, they're going to look retarded in 5 years' time. Thinking, what kind of crack have I been taking? They all score like 5 goals a year, man. And you're repping these bums.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, are they? Yeah, I'm not even thinking. They're going to get their blip anyway. I'm sure that's coming at some point. We'll say that for about 2 games.
Jem.
Yeah.
Do you think some of these players will have issues over the way Potter sets up?
Yeah, but then it would just go back to the same problems as what it would just go back to the same problems of what Thomas Tuchel then had, wouldn't it? Really? Then it's a player problem, isn't it? It's the same thing.
If anyone has, I mean, Bowley has said Potter's his guy. So if anyone has a problem, then they can leave. It's not a problem.
Yeah, but he didn't do that for Thomas Tuchel, though, did he? When he had problems with players.
But
he didn't sign him.
For whatever reason, Bowley didn't see Tuchel as his guy. Like,
yeah,
I don't. It is whatever. It is what it is. My only thing is you back someone. You see Potter as the guy. Fair enough. Back.
Yeah, well in Prime. You agree to Prime there, what he's saying.
Because why are we losing games that we lost under Frank Lampard? Just saying.
Because Lampard
discussion another time.
Because Lampard, yeah, when he
I'll leave it there.
When Lampard came to Chelsea, he didn't have the players and he got us in the top 4, yeah. Because he had the system of the youth academy playing at Chelsea. And when we at that time, we stopped. We couldn't sign no players in a transfer because we were banned. But soon, Lampard bought players like Timo Werner, Havertz. When he got the big boys, he was struggling because he didn't know what to do. Because don't forget, we had our best centre back, Antonio Rudiger, at Chelsea, where Lampard weren't picking him day one in and out. He was always not in a starting 11 at the back. Everyone was moaning about Antonio Rudiger. Put Antonio Rudiger on. He would not play the guy. So that's why we was like the system. He was winning and then losing. But then after that, the result was going bad after bad result. And then Roman Fanfleet just got bad. He just got peed off and sacked him off.
Well, yeah, and you know, I don't really want to go back that long and start talking about the Lampards and Tuchels, but because I have got to shoot anyway, guys. 2.5 hours on here today.
Big up, Jim.
Big up.
No worries, man. Big up to everyone.
Big up to you guys. Thank you for letting me join the show, man. Big up
No
to you guys.
worries.
I'd like to come on your show again, Jen.
No worries, mate. 100%. You're welcome.
You have to come and join mine one time, Jen.
Yes, why not, mate? Why not? Big up.
Just look up on YouTube, Chelsea Dan. That's what I'm on YouTube.
Dan. All right, check out Chelsea Dan, guys. Check out Chelsea Dan as well before you leave here, and again, subscribe to him as well.
I know Primes. I know Dills. I don't know AJ, but AJ, it's nice meeting you, my brother. Big up to you.
AJ's here, man. He's always here.
Hassan, big up to you, my brother.
Big up to you, man.
Big up to you guys.
See you later, mate.
See you soon.
See you later. Take care. So, yeah, we're going to end on just saying this one more thing why Prime's here as well, actually. Frank Lampard has put Prime in the mud because Steven Gerrard has been sacked. See you later.